Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Holbert.
Here.
Mr. Lumsden. Yeah, I have one. I received this paperwork this afternoon. Tractor Supply Company number 2271 against the Board of Assessors and/or the Assessor of the Town of Shenango and the Board of Assessment Review. It appears that Tractor Supply is appealing their tax cert grievance. Does that sound neat? Something like that? All right.
Adam,
Bring
you
this
got to
forward.
pull yours up a little bit because I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Go right up a little higher.
How's that?
Yeah, one
Test,
hand
test?
is good. Good,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
I couldn't hear you. All right, we're going to move on. Open forum. Guests shall speak in orderly fashion, are limited to remarks of 5 minutes or less. The speaker shall deliver their comments and concerns in a civil tone without the use of profanity, personal attacks, or other disruptive behavior. The speaker shall not be interrupted except in a matter of urgency. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I'm here to talk to you as an employee of the Town of Shenango, Joy Kazmarczyk, Safety Administrator. It has come to my attention that some of the departments on the first floor have locked doors. My main concern is the water department because at this point in time, the only people with fobs are the supervisor's office and the employees there. There are many, many times that there is only one staff in the office, and if the supervisor is not here, one of his staff is not here, that only leaves one person to get in there in case of an emergency. If we're going to have that policy, it is my recommendation that we follow much like a fire company and have a universal fob, maybe put it where the AED is. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the updated requirements through PESH, but if someone has a heart attack on town time, regardless of the circumstances, you have 8 hours to notify the Department of Labor, and then they determine if they're going to investigate. So if we're not going to have universal codes for employees to walk in and out of offices, we've got to have a way to be able to get into a locked office if there is one person in there and they have a medical emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else care to speak? Gentlemen? Okay, we're going to move on. Old business. 5.1, building conditions and study, RFP discussion. Mr. Alex Erda.
All right, is this coming through? We finally got through our review on that. Greg and I met. We reviewed all 5 of the applicants. We ranked them based on the criteria in the RFP. I did write a letter that we got 5 packages received on June 13th, 2025 by the deadline. There was no time frame on it to have to go back around. So while we had a wide range from 18,100 to 124,750, we ranked Bureau Veritas the highest out of the group in the 90s at a 96, and then all the others were 88 and lower in our ranking. The fee is included in the selection ranking percentages already. I wrote them in though just for reference. So with that, given their package, we recommended that we discuss with Bureau Veritas contract negotiation and get into their contract phase with them. We didn't put a resolution up tonight to award them because Nate and Greg and I discussed getting a contract from them first and then coming back to you with that.
Any questions?
Does it make any difference that they're so far away? Aren't they from Maryland or something? Or do they have a local office?
So they have an office in PA. There's one in Tunkhannock. They're not too far away, and they have New York State licenses. While the cost was really low, they met all the criteria. They had more than 2 dozen building reviews that they've done in the last couple of years compared to some of the other applicants that only submitted 2 or 3. They had a decent package for what they gave us.
Alex, were you surprised in the wide range of estimates that came back?
Yes. And oddly, the one that we ranked number 1 is the only one that does a full-on database and gives it to you to be able to keep and maintain for the future.
Huh. The other 4 didn't?
The rest give you a report.
Gene, was that unusual? Is that
Yeah.
unusual to see that wide of a range?
It is unusual in, like K-12 sectors because it's all based on square footage and it's a, the state reimburses that, so pretty much everybody is right in the same ballpark. When in the private sector, it's all over the board. And it's, workload, all that kind of stuff comes into it, so, whether or not they're hungry or not, but it was, in my opinion, a significant disparity between the fees, and one specifically, that didn't provide an overall fee.
I reached out to that one as well and asked, and they said, no, we left that for negotiation. I got their breakdown of rates, but not a fee. That was Delta.
So in your opinion here, for what the scope of work is, does that number make sense?
They put it around $7 grand for here, $7 grand for next door, and the balance at Castle Creek. That's about, depending on their billable rate, 60 hours per building to go through everything.
And to provide the database, it just, I mean, those numbers really don't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
But, you guys having the experience of looking at the scope of work, I trust that number makes sense.
If they're used to cranking them out, they could do it in 60 hours per building. The others, though, I mean, I was expecting more closer probably to the 50 range. Barton and Judas hit that number. Keystone was close to it as well. I figured 15, 15, 12, something like that.
Right.
Folks, that put me 42. I wasn't expecting the 125 range. 70 even seemed high. 18, though, threw me way off, and that's why I held off making a recommendation until Greg and I got to sit down more and talk about it. And that piece is, was that 10% of the fee is 15% of the review. So even if they double it, our number in ranking.
No, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
I just, just at first glance and looking at those without specifically reading every proposal, I was just like, wow, it almost looks like something was missed.
Right, and we were kind of we gave them decent, almost full percentage, and then there's a 15, 13, 11, kind of did drop 2 for everybody unless they were missing something on a fee.
Right.
So even if they raised their fee to 40 grand, I'd still end up ranking higher than the number 2.
Then the 88.
I'd drop them a couple of points, even if I dropped them 6 points. I still ranked them higher based on qualifications. So did Greg, we met together.
How much weight did the fee put into the ranking?
It was 15%.
15, I'm sorry, you did say that.
And I did reach out to them and ask them to confirm something that I had a question on and asked if they're okay with their fee. And if I told them that they were really low, it didn't matter. They said that they're based on their knowledge base and how they work and how they expedite things. So.
Okay.
They basically only do building condition stuff, right?
The package we got from them was very exclusive towards building condition surveys.
Yeah, it looked that way just at first glance. I mean, I didn't comb through it extensively, but.
Adam, well, he did have the file there. I don't know if he took them away.
You make them?
I don't think we need them, but
No.
we submitted them.
Yeah.
I think they're with the agenda.
Yeah, we do.
Yep, we have them.
We have them on the.
Yeah, usually a discrepancy like that, you would blame me. I mean, I put the RFP out, and if it comes back really wonky on a construction job, it's that big of a spread.
Right.
You look at the engineer who put it out there first. Then you figure out who was chasing it for low number and who didn't want it, so
Right.
they bid overtime rates on the whole thing, and then figure out what's going on in the middle. This was just all over.
Did we give them in the spec a time frame, right, when we expect this back?
So we let them decide loosely. These guys came in at 2 months, where one of the other ones was like a year, and the others were around 5 or 6 months. So that also played into our ranking on what they projected
So
for schedule.
it appears that it was something they're looking to turn out.
Yeah, they want to get it, and they wanted to be done already, basically by August. But
Thoughts over there, Mr. Jean, Mr. Dave?
So it probably is gonna be your recommendation to choose them, you think?
it was
So-
our recommendation, and to get into discussion for a contract negotiation and then award it based on contract negotiation. That's where Greg and
So-
Nate and I would get their contract, and Nate
You-
chews it up and spits
You
it
think
out.
it'll be a resolution next meeting for adoption? Or,
If they get it in, if we tell them tomorrow we want their contract, to basically have it in their proposal, gives them an opportunity to change anything, and give it back to us again, and then we give it to Nate to look over. We can also double check that, make sure we didn't miss anything, but
So you guys are comfortable with it, no yellow flags?
it's one of those things where you kind of hold them to it.
Yeah, yeah.
If it wasn't for the dollar amount, there weren't any flags from what we saw when we reviewed it.
Well, they might have a team that repeatedly is doing this all the
Like I
time.
said, when you look at it, Mike, it appears that way. It appears that, you know, hey, this is up their alley.
Yeah,
This is what they do.
this is what they specialize in.
Yeah, so.
What
Spend
stood
it.
out to me is like, this is the only thing they do.
Right,
and
They
it-
don't do
and
other
maybe-
work.
right.
Spend a day at each building and then a week on reporting for each
Yeah,
building.
how much,
Yeah,
I'm all right with it.
I'm fine
Yeah.
with it, yeah.
Mr. Jean?
I wanted to make sure that there was at least some contact, that you reached out to them, and go through that. The other thing I want to make sure of is that, in the contract, that you went through their contract to make sure it was responsive to everything.
So-
That it included everything that we had asked for in the RFP.
Went through their proposal, yes.
Yep.
Contract, we'll go through more detail with Nate. If we pick up on anything, we could go back around.
I didn't see in the RFP where it required a specific contract format,
Correct.
so, they'll propose it.
They'll give us one and Nate and I'll review.
Okay.
So then, maybe at the next meeting, instead of a resolution to approve it, we just bring the contracts back to you folks so you've got it, and then you can decide whether you want to have a resolution at your second meeting in August? Unless you tell me you want a resolution as well.
I'd like to keep it moving, so.
Yeah, why not?
Unless you get the contract and it's just,
And it's
Yeah.
garbage. Okay.
I mean, obviously you
Yeah.
would send that to the whole board. that-
Right, yeah, might
Yeah.
as well do it simultaneous.
Okay.
So look at the contract, draw a resolution for
Yeah.
the next meeting, and look, if there's a hiccup, then we'll adjust it.
Yeah, that's the way I think.
Okay.
At
You
least have
guys
the-
good with that?
Have the
Yes.
resolution ready, and if we don't have to
Mr.
do it.
Mr. Jean?
Well, I guess maybe I just want to, having the contract and having the resolution drafted is probably quick for us to get the resolution, get the contract, look at the contract, so we can discuss it, and then.
Then do the
And then
resolution.
do the resolution.
Okay.
I'm looking at the timeline of what we want, when we want to have it done, and there's no reason to push it. And I want to give Nate and Alex enough time to be thorough enough to make sure that their contract, before it comes to us, that they've vetted it out and that it addresses it, and that it includes the reference to the RFP and the full scope, and it goes through it, and it gives us the time frame because we didn't put it in there. So I think that we review the recommendation for the contract and all that next meeting, and then a resolution the following.
Okay.
That's my suggestion.
Okay.
So, if that all worked out,
That'll take us to the
So
second meeting in
they
August.
probably wouldn't start until after Labor Day? Is that fair?
That puts it at, the 20th.
Yeah, what I'm saying, the
20th
twentieth,
is
what
the
I'm just
meeting
saying,
and-
by the time everything went back and forth, probably not a lot is gonna happen
Right.
that following week.
Should still close
And
it
then
out
they-
this year.
So, yeah, so they potentially could be done that first week in November. You said 2 months is what they were looking
Yep.
at, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Good?
I'm good.
So you just copy me on the email to them.
Okay.
Anything else? Alex?
Not on that, no.
All right, we're gonna move on. Code Department recommendations. Mr. Kevin or Mr. J, what do you got?
Would you read it?
Yeah, you don't have a recommendation, but I didn't know if you were
Well, we
gonna
do
have a conversation.
recommendation.
Why
We do
don't
have
I
a
that?
recommendation
Is
to,
it on the private side?
open it back up.
Open this up. Sign in, sorry. Open it up for what?
Open it up, for new applications. And I didn't have a chance to look that up, but just judging by the gentleman that was here during the open interview, I just wanna make sure that we have the right classification or job title, because there seemed to be some confusion about that, and I don't know whether or not that was on the applicant's part, or whether there was a little ambiguity with what we posted. So, like I said, I didn't dig into that further, just to understand that, or do we have is the title correct in what we're advertising for? I don't know the answer to that.
I think the title was correct.
Okay,
I understand that there was a misunderstanding on one of the applicants for what it was. And that could have gotten vetted out before we got it, but that really isn't a significant issue for me.
it's just a verification is all. Okay,
Yeah.
because I didn't know, because of the few number of applicants that we received, I didn't know whether or not that was playing into it. But I would like to have an executive session to discuss personnel in that department.
Related to what?
Related to the positions there and applications coming from within.
Jay, is that just to be, I guess, so it's matters relating to the employment or promotion of a person within the code department?
Yes.
But are we gonna put the advertisement back out? Or do you wanna
That-
wait before we do that, Jay, to whatever you're gonna talk about in executive session?
Well, I'd like to do that after the executive session, or have that discussion after the executive session.
Okay. You guys wanna do that at the end of the meeting?
That's when we do our executive session.
Well, I guess I really want to, before we hop off of the topic of this issue, I'd like to close this out before we get into that, because that's a little bit of divergent from the recommendation.
You're gonna have to clear that up a little bit.
Well,
So-
the recommendation was, I'm just to recommend the town board review the job title and the description, and then reopen the application period, and discuss alternatives for department head. So we can't put it out there if we're gonna change the
Right.
qualifications for the department head. And we've reviewed the job title. I think it's appropriate. It was for what it was. So, I mean, we went through all that when it went out. So unless Nate, unless you think that was the wrong title now than we did before.
No, I mean, I know I talked with Jody about, because you'll remember there was like an initial application, and then I was like, and talked with Jody, we got the right one out there. And I'm looking at the town, still has it actually on the employment tab, department head, code and ordinance, and it links to the correct job specifications. So it appears that the town has
Perfect.
got the right one out there.
Yep, awesome.
And I just wanna get it in the discussion this time, cause I forgot to do it last time. I'm adamantly against a code officer being a department head, and I just wanna get that on the record. I am not gonna agree to this, to that. It's just on my end of it. I believe it's wrong. It's caused nothing but trouble in the past history. I spoke to 3 other code officers that were here years ago. After talking to them, it reassures me that making a code officer / department head is very problematic in today's world. So I just want that on the record. Anything else?
So do we have a discussion about like what you just said somewhere down the line? Or, cause I have a few questions about that whole thing. But I don't know if we do it now or we do it later.
Well, if
or-
we're gonna put an advertisement out, then I believe it's appropriate to have that conversation.
Cause I'm not too familiar with things, and like you said, there's some towns that do not have their department head being a
Correct.
code officer.
Correct.
That's legal? That's
Yes,
possible?
absolutely legal.
But then you're in the same situation we're in now. You got nobody can sign building permits, nobody can do
No,
inspections.
the code officer signs the building permits.
We don't have a code officer.
No, but when you have a code officer, you
that's the
make
problem
you
that
have
we're in
2
right
code
now.
officers. You don't need to have
But
code
that's-
officers be department heads.
It's just like department heads in other parts of the town that can't operate parts of their department, and we're struggling to find people to do it. I think the department head should have the training or the knowledge, every aspect of their department.
Does, let's say that somebody wants to build something, and there's a code officer that goes out to check on it, and the project is finished to their qualifications. Do they sign off it, or do they have to take it to the department head to sign off it?
No, the code officer would sign off on it. The department head is
Okay.
running the department. What time they're coming in, scheduling documents and that kind of stuff run in the office. And when you have a code officer have that / department head and you have an issue with a code officer, you got multiple problems, which this town has experienced for decades.
So what is the duty of the department head? Just
depart-
to send out daily assignments that you go over there to do that project and do this I don't know what they do then,
They run
besides
the-
making budgets and
They run the
talking to
office,
us.
do the budget, they would come talk to us, they would get their, that's also another, point of contention there. The department head, many towns have their DPW do it, or they have a different general manager. There's towns that have the supervisor. I do not want it, I think that's wrong too. But code officers, when you have that much authority of a code officer that is also running their department and their budget, and I spoke to the other ones that were here, they get pressure from board members and town supervisors, and they try to accommodate them so that their budgets don't get cut. The police officers that are out in patrol cars are the ones arresting people. They're not the ones running the departments. There has to be a separation. There should be.
how many code officers does this town need? 2, 1,
Probably
3,
2.
3?
I don't think that I could support 2 full-time code enforcement officers if one of them is not a department head. The workload is, the workload for the town is just not there to
Right.
to
That's
support 2
fair.
There
full-time.
isn't.
That's fair.
It's not there.
So,
No.
I understand Mike's position, but there's some complications with that. On both sides of it. I mean, I'm not looking at this as a sacred cow just because we've always had it in the past. I do agree with Mike that if we had a code enforcement official that was an employee, they would be the official for the code enforcement. So they could do the plan review, they could do the building permits, they could do everything that they would need to do as long as they were qualified for it. We can't do that scenario with somebody who we're hiring and then putting through training, and then have them be the employee that does all of that stuff, because they just don't have, they're certified at some point, but they're not qualified until they've got years of service. So there's a problem that we've got to work through to get past that if we choose that model. The point that Mike's making about the department head who's just running the show and they're doing the administrative issue, there's value to that. I see that. But it's an employee performance productivity issue that where I can't match it up. We just don't have the workload to have 2 code enforcement officials and a department head and 2 administrative staff for what I see goes through that department. There's peaks. There's definitely peaks at times where we need it, but it's not.
Well, that's my
normal.
point. If you're gonna have one code officer, let him go out in the field and do his code stuff and look at in-house, and he's not concerned with filling out who's on time, who's not, budgets or any of that. He's truly or she is truly doing code enforcement work, not trying to manage an office.
And I understand that. The one thing that I don't agree with you, Mike, about is the conflict of interest between the town board, the separation of those.
Mm-hmm.
Those are legislative issues. The town board has an absolute responsibility to not be involved in the code department. We
Right.
can't intervene, we can't notify, we can't tell anybody to go out to do it unless it says as citizens, we all live in
Right.
the town, but we can make those complaints and we can do that as a citizen, but as a town, we have spent the last 6 years trying to make sure that culture is gone, and it would be a real disservice to everybody that has worked hard to get that, to allow that to happen. But we've got protocols and policies in place to deal with that. So I'm not as concerned about that as you are, because the person, whether it's anybody from the town that sits on a board can't do that. There's checks and balances there. So that doesn't concern me. It's a employee staffing issue for me. And Kevin,
Well-
I agree with you that the person in charge has to know what the person is doing to know whether or not he's doing his job. Or
But
her
who
job.
checks, if you've done in the past, you had a code officer be the department head, who checked any of their work? Who determined what they were doing or when they were coming or going? You had none of that, Gene. It's been run rogue for decades in this town.
And I think that falls on us. We have a responsibility to hold the department heads accountable. And they have the responsibility to run their department, and that's the separation that needs to be maintained.
But the code officer is an officer of the state, gets the authority from the state, period. When you have an issue with a code officer, you have to try to work around them rules. Then when you make that also a department head, you have to work around them guidelines too. And then you're throwing your baby out with the bathwater all the time. The code officer / department head has all the power, I'm leaving. Now you lose a code officer and a department head. Why would you put all your eggs in one basket? You've done it in this town that way. I'm just asking, and if you do it, that's fine. I can never be part of that. I cannot support that. I'd like to try something different, even on an interim level. We can't even find a department head code guy. Let's just try to find a code guy.
Can't even find a code guy.
Well,
That's true too.
So,
Yeah.
but we're gonna bring someone in and we're gonna get them trained, and they get trained in October, and now / they're gonna be department head too. That's just reckless to me. I just think it's totally irresponsible.
Somebody who's not qualified is
Well, how would they?
absolutely reckless.
What training would they have? They get training for code. What training do they have to run a department? None.
training does any of these people have?
No, but the experience, you get it from experience.
We've gone through this already, management training.
And every time you have a trouble with the code officer department head leaves and has you all bent over a barrel. I made my point. You guys can do whatever you choose to do. I'm not gonna support it. And that's fine. I'll respect whatever decision you guys make.
So back to my recommendation, I withdraw that executive session right now. It's not necessary. My recommendation is that we open the application process back up.
Under the title that was.
Under the title, as long, you guys confirmed it was right. I'm just merely pointing out the ambiguities that the applicants seem to have regarding the title. apparently that's on them, which is fine. I just wanted to confirm that we had it correct, that's all.
They said they just took it the wrong way?
No, the
or
one
they-
gentleman here, the other one was a little, okay, what is this exactly? Is this a code officer or is it department head? The one that we interviewed, and he said, well, I want department head. So, and maybe it's just the way that it's advertised and they didn't look at it specifically. So that really on them to do their diligence to research that, right? I'm just saying with the two applicants that I spoke to, one, obviously you guys saw it, there was clear confusion. The other one was like, hey, I could go either way.
I think if we open it back up, we have to look at salary again. We have to look at the amount that we're offering.
I agree, Kevin. I think the market has spoken with the few applicants that we're getting, and there seems to be some competition out there for them as well.
Well, if we're gonna get into like the higher issue of a salary, I mean, there are other formats of doing that. I mean, as far as, it's not necessarily an issue for right now, but I know we're going through the feasibility study for the Public Works Department. Code and ordinance is traditionally in that department.
Right.
So, you know, part of the recommendation, I could see that feasibility study could be to put that all under that leadership issue and not have a separate issue. We get into hiring, you know, you know, as far as Mike's point, you know, we put somebody in place now as a department head code enforcement official, and in 2 years, when we get through this feasibility study, we end up with settling on a combination of, you know, the public works, everything under public works scenario. Now we've got an employment issue. So I want to give it the thought and the process that it deserves, but we're going to be locked into that because it's a civil service position, no matter what we do with it. And I think that's the merit that Mike's argument brings to it, because in a few years, which doesn't seem like a lot or a long time, but we may be backed into a corner on a staffing issue, or overpaying a code enforcement official because they're not department head anymore.
So what I'm hearing is that we may be doing some homework here, or having options to think, so we can survive right now. We're surviving right now the way we're set up.
We are surviving.
And I guess I'm getting a feeling like keep it this way for a couple months
Well,
anyways, or?
I think we open it back up, but I think it warrants a discussion
Yeah.
regarding the salary. If we're opening it back up, just to open it back up at the current salary being offered, you know, I'm not sure that's gonna attract any new applicants.
I know that there's a process in place to address it, but our budget for 2025 does not support, you know, anything but that salary that's there now.
But we haven't been expending that salary for several months, and it's probably gonna be another month.
That's what I'm saying, there's a process in place to adjust it, but it's, but it's, you know, I guess, I don't know where you're talking about an adjustment of the salary. I mean, it was at 50?
50.
So, what is it that you're, I'm asking you because you guys brought it up as far, or not, I'm sorry, not you guys, but Jay, you brought it up with adjustment of salary. I don't know if you guys talked about it as part of this dialogue, you know, or not, but
Well,
where do you think it's gotta go?
We did get some feedback, and we're not necessarily to that range, but I think we're in the 60 to 70 range, depending on, you know, the experience of that applicant.
Well, wait a minute, you're in the 60, 70 range because of what applicant?
I'm saying, just depending on the experience of that applicant,
Oh,
whoever
the
it is.
future one, okay.
Whoever it is.
Did either one of the applicants,
We only interviewed one.
We interviewed one.
Yeah, the other one
And,
didn't.
yeah, and you saw the numbers that,
yeah, but was it an issue with, like, conversation that they wouldn't accept it at that rate?
where our current, yeah, that was a no.
That was a no.
Yep.
It was just too far apart.
Mhm.
If I can offer a piece of information, I was in the code office talking with Doug and Randy on Monday. I happened to talk with Randy briefly about what code enforcement officers might make. He, I think, would have some information that you guys might find helpful about just like locally and more broadly. Because I believe he is the department head of, or at least he's overseeing the code enforcement at Johnson City. Very different place, but sounded like he's got some good information.
Can you share that with us?
I don't
Oh.
recall the specific details.
Oh,
I think
I
it's
thought you
worth
had
a, yeah, I'm not trying to bury the lead here. I just think he's got some good information based on what he was describing.
But, it was not ancient history when we adjusted that
To 50,
to 50,
yeah,
because that's.
51 or 52,
It was
actually.
52, I believe. Mike,
52, yeah.
Well, it's 52 now, because there was a couple years of escalation in salary, but with that, when that position was filled, it was filled at 50. So, just historical information. But before we can re-advertise, we've got to know what the salary range is gonna be, because that's gotta be part of it.
Well, I think if we go with the same advertisement we did last time, I just don't see where we're gonna draw anything different. You know, if we go back with 50, and we're just wasting our money on running. I mean, unless there's another pool of people out there that are gonna apply, there's not. There's not a lot of them out there. I know there's a lot other open positions in the county that are available.
Yeah.
But we're training a code officer now, and we're still advertising that then you're gonna end up with 2 code officers. But you're okay with that as long as one of them's a department head?
Experience.
Sitting here today, right now, in the structure that this town is operating under, I'm okay with 2 code enforcement officers as long as one is the department head. Yes.
Right, you weren't, yeah, you did say that.
So do you expect that other code officer to just be in the office all day long? Because otherwise, if you had a different department head, you said one code officer is enough.
I don't have any expectation on what the department personnel do. That's the
Well, I'm
responsibility
just
of the
trying to
department
figure out
head.
how you go from needing only one to having to have 2. So that tells me
I don't
that
know-
if
I
you
don't-
gotta have 2 now, and one's a department head, you expect an awful lot of office work done by that department head.
To make it crystal clear, we have 0 now.
I
We
understand.
aren't guaranteed we're gonna have one,
I understand.
so I think we need to advertise for one, because we can't rely on the guys that are doing it now to continue doing it for 2 more years.
You're gonna get, you could end up exactly where Gene said, you could end up locked yourself in again, and you get your evaluation or something changes, and now you got a labor problem, because you can't do anything about it. You gotta slash the code officer that has all sorts of, and the town went through it in 2016.
We don't have a code officer right now.
I understand, but
Licensed one.
is it an option to separate out the responsibilities for the department head at a dollar amount so that if it changes, that goes away?
Well, that might be an
Yeah,
option.
why not?
It
I
might
don't
be
know
an
if civil
option.
service allow you to do that.
Will they?
They won't?
Once you pay at a certain rate, you cannot
Yeah,
drop
oh,
their rate.
okay.
You can take away their title, but you cannot drop
Can't
the
take
rate.
away the pay.
No,
But I don't know what, like
Oh,
you're saying,
but
you're
I'm-
talking like a stipend or
No, I'm not
like-
talking about a stipend, not necessarily a stipend, I'm talking about a different line item on, that they get paid for. They are a code enforcement official, and X number of dollars is associated to
A department
the
head.
department head.
Then could you take it
We
away?
probably have to create a new civil service
Title.
Yeah, and,
description and title,
It's
which
the
is
sa-
not a big
What-
deal,
but
I mean.
It's the exact same position that we're hiring for.
Oh, yeah, so we do have the two titles already.
Right,
So you just gotta designate the pay,
right.
the separation of what percentage of pay is this,
Right.
what's over here.
Right,
for
so
code.
the significance of the two difference are the administrative, the authority, and the job description of the two. So,
civil service might be able to tell us for the building and code officer position, which is their title for it, what the percentage allocation of duties between code enforcement versus the administration piece, you know, overseeing a small number of staff. That'd be a question for civil service if they have that information already. And then you'd use that as a proxy. And who knows if that's the actual percentage that you guys need, but at least that's what civil service would say.
Well, if we took a step like that, does it make sense to open this advertisement up just for a code enforcement officer? And the only reason I'm bringing that
I
up
think
is
it's on the table, yeah.
I think it almost feels like it's an interim step, perhaps. Right? Because if you have a department head who's not a code official, you know, does that leave us the option of making that code official a department head in the future? Particularly if you're using existing personnel.
I don't see how it precludes it.
Okay.
I just would wanna, I'd want the town to be protected that if it goes backwards, that there's a way to separate it out.
Right. But I think you've identified that. Well,
And
we've
there-
identified that from a pay standpoint, right?
Yeah, and the reality is that if somebody's got that job and they are, even though they're, you know, they're getting paid X,
Yeah.
but they're getting paid Z because it's X plus Y.
Yes.
And if you take Y away, I don't see that person staying there.
Well, right.
That's a complication issue, you know, with that model. We've got
Do
nobody
we have to
qualified.
fill the department head role?
Someone needs to
Yeah.
be tasked
Yes.
with.
Somebody
the
needs to.
oversight.
Someone
Exactly.
needs to be tasked with bringing in the worksheets and the time cards and all that
Doing
kind
the
of stuff.
budget. and
Doing the budget, yeah.
So how's that gonna happen this cycle?
it's
Right
already
now,
being done
Diana
right now.
Aurelio's doing it. She's doing the budget, she does the time cards, she runs the office.
Without the title?
Correct. And for short term, I would like to just try something different. Put an advertisement out for a code officer, make her the department head. She's doing it anyway, interim for a short period of time, and let's reevaluate this when we do the assessment and everything else. No one knows that office better than that lady.
My concerns with that would be that she doesn't wanna work full-time.
I
and that
don't,
she only can make so much money, correct?
no, that's
on top of her-
that's Miss
Top of her
Renee.
pension?
I
On
think,
top of her pension?
There's
don't-
35,000 a year.
Oh, is that what it
30
was?
or
Okay.
35,000.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think they
and
raised
she
it.
can make more, just go, once you
Her
exceed the
Social Security.
35,000, it affects the retirement benefits that she's getting from the state. It lowers them.
Doesn't wanna make more than that.
But in a way, I'm a department head. As the town board, I don't know that the department head here, if she's got a staff, she's got a clerk underneath her, and she's running it, she can come in and do department head stuff. She's doing it now part-time. Why does that have to be full-time?
I'm not saying it has to be
I'm
full-time.
asking.
I'm not,
No, the complication with that is, or at least the challenge with that is, if we don't have something, like, it might have just been a comment on the process, but you had mentioned just a couple of seconds ago about, waiting, possibly going 2 years. And I don't see how that serves the town to go 2 years without it. So it just, from my point of view, we've got to have something in place to be able to function
Well, I was
there.
going back to your evaluation that you had explained to Jay,
On
that
the feasibility.
the
Yeah, but
feasibility
that-
study.
Right, but that was just, I mean,
You threw out 2 years, that's why I used that.
I understand, but it was never, it's not a reality where we can go without a department head for 2 years or, operate.
Right,
out
that's
that
why I
way.
wanted to make an interim with what we're using right now and try to figure a better game plan moving forward than just do what the town always does. Oh my God, we're panicking, we just gotta get whoever, and we're gonna make them department head / code officer. It's just, to me, that is very reckless.
One of the things that is concerning me is that the town board has put in place processes for the code and ordinance department as far as software and equipment. And I do not want to see that go backwards.
No.
No, it needs to go forward for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I
it
think we
needs to
got,
go forward.
one of the clerks that's in there is probably the better IT person that we've ever had in there. So why is that have anything to do with the department head?
Well, because
Well-
one of the responsibilities of the department head is to make sure that the town board policies are followed and adhered to.
Okay,
And I want to make sure that no matter what happens, that we don't go backwards and we
Yeah.
don't start not utilizing those efficiencies. And we've got an enormous amount of money invested, and we did such a we spent a year and a half researching the product that was best for the town. And we can't go backwards.
no. Well, do you feel we're utilizing them now, or are they not
We
doing
are,
it?
we are not.
not even
Okay.
close.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay,
Not even close.
I agree, they're not being
All right.
utilized to their potential.
And I get the flux that's in that department right now and getting
But-
consistency.
But somebody needs to drive that, right?
Yeah.
Somebody
Yeah.
needs to drive that.
I agree.
and you feel, well, if you get this code officer that has all them skills too, then I guess that'll be, but I'm not convinced you're gonna find one. I think you're gonna, I've said my piece.
Well, not if you're not done.
Are all these
You're right.
improvements that we have to town right now, are all the other towns using it, so people are familiar with this? If they do come here, they're ready to go when they hit the ground, or we starting from square one to teach them how to do everything?
So not every town or village uses a software database to do their ordinance and their code enforcement from. But there's also a lot of towns and villages locally, or not even within they don't even have ordinances. So it's not a universal issue, but we have a very good software.
But it's not an obscure software either, Dave.
Okay.
You know, so
It
there
is
are.
an industry standard
It
software.
is, right, I agree.
Well, I'm just wondering if.
So there's other code officials that show up here, like the gentleman that we interviewed was familiar with it
Okay,
and has utilized it. And the current guys that we have helping the department now are familiar with it as well.
So
And what I guess the overall point is, whoever gets in there, it can't be accepted that I don't know it, so I don't wanna use it, and that's let slide.
No.
It's like, that's the whole point of that I wanted to make, so.
Dave, from my meeting on Monday with Doug and Randy, I would agree with the board's assessment that the software is not being utilized to its fullest extent, and I encouraged Doug to take as many available video trainings as possible, call Municity's help desk. One positive thing is that Diane is including in the budget to purchase some tablets so that the Municity can be on the tablet, they can take it out to the work site, do things on the tablet when they get back here, it'll upload things to Municity. Just adding more functionality to it is something that I encourage them to be doing.
There were 2 laptops that
I
were
thought there was,
purchased.
I thought when
for
I was
that.
a
We're-
citizen, you guys did that one.
Yeah.
You had tablets.
Yeah, specifically for the code department, there were 2 laptops purchased for that.
Yeah,
And I'm
I-
not,
yeah,
I
I-
understand that, but
that's maybe a thing to follow up with Diane at some point, just to ask.
find out where those are, because
Right.
if they're just sitting on a shelf or in a lat file somewhere, with their battery drained, we don't need that.
Tablets are helpful for the field, though.
Yeah, the discussion at the time with the tablets and the laptops, and the reason that we went with the laptops is because of the software that can be put onto it and utilized in the field, instead of doing an app that's on there that you fill into the database and then have to get back to your computer to actually complete the report. The tablets, like an iPad or like a Chromebook, they have just an app version. It's not the desktop version, so it's limited.
Is that because of the software?
It's the nature of the software and yes,
Yeah, I'm thinking it's the software. 'cause
all of the
yes.
developers have a different application for a tablet than they do for a computer.
It's a phone versus a computer, basically.
Yeah. Yep. So
I'm just saying, I get the tablet utilization in the field, because that's what I use, right? And a lot of
Okay.
people use that, and I have that software right on there. I can do
No public
everything
hearing,
from
but
that
we gotta
tablet
get
that I
going.
can do from my laptop in terms of inputting the data, getting that data, you know what I mean? As opposed to having to transfer it.
right, and from my end, when I do my code enforcement work,
Right.
I don't have full functionality in the
And I'm not
field.
familiar with that software, so I can't
Right,
speak
nope,
to it.
But it's also with document management systems, they're just not full-featured applications off of it.
Right.
And it may or may not be, I'm not saying not do it, and I'm not saying not investigate it, it's just,
Right, because I could just see, you know what I mean, the laptop could be cumbersome out in the field if I'm out doing an inspection or something, and I need to load something in, as opposed to, you know, let me set the laptop up someplace and log in.
And pictures, pictures are everything. I mean, how do you do pictures and then transfer them over to your laptop, or?
the photos are imported right through the software on, so it's like, a Surface Book is an actual Windows PC.
Yes.
And there's
Okay.
no significant difference between that and an iPad.
Yeah.
Yes, I know exactly.
So, I mean, this doesn't need to go out.
No.
And, and I've got my work laptop that probably weighs 4 times that, and it's like, I mean, so we don't need it to run a server, for the federal government kind of
No.
thing. It's just,
Yes.
I just want to be careful that, one, I want to make sure that
No, we
know
gotta have the
where
right functionality, right?
where the
So,
laptops are
Yeah.
now that we already purchased for,
Right.
for the department. And I also give my staff tablets, because there are functionalities for it, and I'm carrying around 12,000 sheets of drawings of paper, on a tablet, and it makes it easier. So the efficiency is also part of it. So I'm fine with either one. I'm fine with giving them a laptop and an iPad.
right.
Do
All
the
right.
work. Give them safety glasses and they'll be on them. They can buy it and they won't have them.
Can we move on?
Well, we
So,
gotta make some
we're gonna make a
decisions before we
decision.
move on, or do we wanna do an executive session and talk about employees in the? at the
Because
end
you were
of the
talking
meeting?
about employees here.
I was. But I don't know if that's premature in light of having the discussion of whether or not we should just advertise for a code enforcement officer, not necessarily code enforcement officer department head. But you have
Right.
reservations about that.
I support a department head for right now. I understand the complications of where we could be in the front, but I would want to reopen it up with the same description,
Okay.
adjust the salary for, salary range from 50 to 65.
65.
And put it out for, so we can have, I don't know, 3 weeks, you wanna?
Yes. Yes, I agree. Let's put that back. That's what I would like to do, Mike. I'd like to put that back out there for that salary range at 65. Put it back out there for the same job description.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to to extend the advertisement, with the adjustment to the salary range of 65. Yeah, where does that put us though, Gene? You said an additional 3 weeks?
Jody's on vacation, correct? Jody's on vacation, correct?
She'll be back Monday.
So we wouldn't be able to get it to
So-
run till Monday, or?
Yes, do you wanna make let's get the applications in by the 15th?
1, 2, 3. Better make it the 14th so that it can get disseminated to the board for the agenda on the 15th.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then we can have the discussion on the 13th, or the, right? 23rd, the 6th,
20th,
the 20th,
Yep.
for who would be interviewed.
you'd be interviewed, yes.
How are we advertising this? Do we need to put a dollar amount with it? Or are we just doing?
What was the dollar amount last time?
I think it was up to 50, but you just made your motion to make it,
No,
maybe Gene?
No, I was you were talking about the dollar amount for the advertisement?
For the advertising?
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Specifically for the Indeed.
Yeah, for Indeed?
Yeah,
or-
it's so much a day.
Yeah, I don't,
If 3 weeks, it's gonna be well over 1,000, so much a day. Remember, we did that before, and
Yeah.
we had to come back and bump
Well-
it, because you guys did 500, I think it was 35 a day or something.
You can lower that, though. You can adjust it to what your budget is. Maybe not.
What do you wanna do?
so,
I don't have any problem with doing $1,000, and then
but is 1,000 enough?
we've
we
got,
make it-
on the
Well,
6th, if we're
Kevin's
getting
point
close
is
to
that
it,
you can,
we can adjust it.
Okay.
I don't know if it's changed, but when I did it, you just took whatever the amount the board gave you, and then
Oh,
you could
plug-
set that
plug
in there, and if it was
and
running
that'd
for
be-
2 weeks, that's the dollar amount was each day, and that's, you only got so many
hits.
hits that
okay.
day, so.
Is that limiting us to getting applicants?
Well, the criteria that
I
became an
don't-
issue is you wanted to run it every day
don't
for
believe so.
two
Okay.
weeks, and it
It
went over.
didn't seem like that, cause you'll get, in the beginning, you get everything in the beginning, and then you really don't get too much after that.
Okay.
Cause I think they
So,
target,
yeah, that's fine.
the way that's set up.
Adjust
they
your
tar-
motion if you
they
need
target.
to.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to re-advertise for the code enforcement department head position at a salary range of 65,000 through August 13th.
14th?
But that's not a range, Jay. That is that is salary. Are you gonna do the range? What was the previous range?
We were 40 to 50,
Oh,
or?
40 to
Yeah, so
50.
we wanna
Right.
go
So you're gonna
six-
go 50 to
so-
65, is what you said earlier.
No, 60 to 70 is what I said
Well,
earlier.
now we're going to 60 to
No,
70?
I suggested in my conversation that we do the range of 50 to 65.
I'm
Someone's
60
gonna-
to 70 through August 14th.
go 65, can we still go higher if we have to?
You gotta advertise
During
that way.
negotiations, or do we have to re-advertise?
You'd have to re-advertise. The conversations we've had in the past is if you increase it, you have to re-advertise because there are people that wouldn't have applied
Exactly.
Okay.
because of that.
That's what I thought I remember, but I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd have to go,
It's just anecdotal to just throw out numbers without real data to support it. And it's all gotta be based on experience anyway. But just for process, Jay, why don't you make your motion, let's get a second, then have the discussion.
I'll second your motion.
Discussion.
I have no problem going 60 to 70 because we can adjust on experience. But I understand what you're saying. I'm not, and I just have that fear if we go 65 and we have somebody that comes in with a tremendous amount of experience with software and everything else, and we can't get them for that 65. I just hate to lose somebody.
It's at that point we're in a different category. You know, if we're at 70, I mean, there's nobody that's going to come in here and apply for that and take 60 because that's what it is. I mean, it's always going to be around that top. So we got to plan on it. Whether or not we end up paying that, we've got to plan on that 70. And that 70, that's a completely different animal. I mean, we got to look at what that is going to be. A shot across every department head and everybody else. That's not here. You know, that's here already, and I don't see how that's justified.
Our other two department heads are making over 80, correct? Highway and DPW?
I can't put the highway in there because he's an elected official. That's a completely different issue to me.
And the hours, they're not, the hours that they put in is not even close to what it.
35 hours a week. I mean but you're not 40 hours. And we had already it was a discussion that we had, but we had already made the department head 40 hours. And everything that's been out there for this has been 35, and that's a backtrack on what we've got for the department head hours.
But we're also requiring this department head to attend planning, zoning, and board meetings with no other compensation.
Well, I don't look at it as no other compensation. He's getting paid, that's the
Exactly.
compensation for it.
But that was a question in the interview.
So this is for the department head has a code officer's license, right? This is what we're
Yes.
going for.
Yes.
So that's the way it is in our code, town code, that's what the position is described for. But we had some discussions here like, yeah, it could be, but we could maybe do it this way, and I thought that we were kind of close to maybe deciding maybe, like even Diane could hand it for a while, but right now we're saying if we interview somebody and they fit the description, it's their position and their control of the, right?
So here's what we're or I'm attempting to do, right? To see if we get some more qualified applicants. Currently, you're right, Diane is running the office, and we don't have a certified code official. I shouldn't say that. We have two part-time
Right.
certified code officials who are only authorized through the end of this year.
Okay.
So after that, we would either have to extend what we're currently doing, but still, we don't have applicants that, when we interviewed, we think would be a good fit for the team.
Gotcha. I just wanted to make that clear because I thought we were getting awful close to maybe considering a different way of going. That's all. That's all.
And we might.
Yeah. Okay.
more discussion?
I have none.
For Jay's motion?
Well, I mean, just Dave, I think Dave's understanding of it is right. We were, you know, it's been all over the board, and before we make a decision to offer that, we really better settle on what the town board wants for a plan for that department for the next few years, but until the feasibility study is done. Because I do see that as an issue.
And by going out for these applications, there's no guarantee of a hire on any of the applicants that come back.
That's valid. We could have a discussion, we could find a great department head and still decide not to hire him and go a different route.
That's a fact. Very true.
Any more discussion? Or what do you?
I think we
Because
have to give it.
Jay made a motion, Kevin, you seconded it, so
But it
we're
was
working off of that motion right now.
I say let's
Gene
vote.
was concerned, the 60,
Right.
65, we went
Let's-
60, 70, so that's where the discussion was going, so.
I really do think the salary is,
Cap it as 65?
well, you know, yeah, I mean, we've got other employees that
I agree.
that's gonna impact. And I just don't see how we can make that kind of a jump without looking at all of that.
I'm for 65. First time around.
I am.
So is it a hard 65, or are we changing this range again? I mean, but before we were discussing a range.
So what do you want the range to be, is Mike? 50 to 65?
I 50 to 65. That gives us a lot of flexibility on the candidate.
50 to 65?
Yeah.
You gonna amend your motion, or not?
Uh,
It's your motion,
Yeah,
Jay.
yeah, you stick it out. Run it by. See what,
I think 50 is too low.
See what happens.
Gene. I just do. I think 50 is really low for the scope of work that it is. 55 to 65? I mean, I'd rather go 58 to 68, but if you're concerned about the 70 number, but
50 as a code officer is okay. It's the department head.
it's
that-
the department head thing. I just think that
That's
50
fine.
is, and I'm concerned that applicants are gonna look at that and go, all right, well, they're fishing for somebody for 65, but maybe the offer is gonna be 58 or something. I think it's just too low. I think 50 is just too low.
I think if it's gotta be, if we're gonna be paying 70, then we separate it out and get a code enforcement official who's qualified and go up for code enforcement and not for a department head. And we have put Diane in charge until we get clarity on what we want for the department. Because I'm not convinced that the five of us really have a uniform goal on that department.
I don't think we do either.
And plus, you got one code officer in training right now,
Mm-hmm.
so. If we're done with your motion, we can take a vote on it,
Are you staying?
or you wanna change it.
I'll amend my motion for a salary range of 55 to 65.
I'll amend my second.
Any more discussion?
I have none.
I have none.
Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Joe.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Gene.
the hours. We're going against we're going against our own work description for the department head of 40 hours by keeping that at 35 hours. So I
So
think that,
so for this range then, that
Why was
code.
it originally advertised at 35 hours?
Well, because to Gene's point, we're going against our own rules.
I don't know why it was originally, but that's the way it went out, and I know we had, when I saw it, it was already out.
Yeah, because I mean, I found that strange too, but,
Yeah,
But department heads are 40.
yes.
so how about an amendment to the motion? Can I do that, or do I need to make a new motion?
No, we're still in discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I agree, I think it should be 40 hours.
And that's 55 to 65.
For 40 hours.
For 40 hours.
Yes.
And clarify that in the ad.
And what's that?
And make sure that's clarified in the ad
Yeah,
for 40 hours.
and adjusted on the signboard out front.
Yep.
Yep.
Full-time position, full-time
Full-time,
permanent.
40 hours a week.
Yep.
Time for a fresh motion. Then I'll make a motion to advertise for a code enforcement department head at a salary range of 55,000 to 65,000 at 40 hours per week. Advertised through August 14th.
The dollar amount of advertising.
And the
1,000 you said,
1,000,
right?
yeah, $1,000 to be allocated for advertisement.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion?
No.
Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Mr. Warden,
Aye.
Mr. Simonis,
Aye.
Mr. Johnson,
No.
Mr. Hulbert,
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden.
No, nay. Okay, we're gonna move on. Where are we? Mr. Alex Erda, waste 5.3 wastewater treatment plant update.
Okay, Greg couldn't make it tonight, so I will cover this. Contract 1A payment is in place. Number 14, number 9 on contract 2B is in place. I don't think I need to go over those. Leeson gave a monthly board update. That's the last item on the list there. A little bit of that is talking about work change directives, which is a third piece. There's an email that's listed in here. I don't know if you guys want me to read it. We're running into a couple of work change directives right now. One is on removal of grit from the cast chamber 3 and other components of the system. We're staying under the 35,000 threshold, so we're going through with a work change directive on that. The other is valvoline, which sits around 40. We have a work change directive in front of us, I think at 7.6 later on, up for discussion. Leeson asked, that based on some discussions recently, they've got a couple of these items that they need to do a little fact finding on pieces, especially valvoline. Valvoline, the state has told us, we can work within our easement area. We don't have to remediate anything outside of our easement area. They will chase that down if there is anything beyond that. But in order to know what we have to do there, we have to get in there. So we have a $40,000 fee on that one. The fact-finding component could be less than that. So the discussion here that B&L asked was that they want to set up a format where a contractor can request a work change directive, and if they establish that there's a lack of response by a certain date, that it'll result in a delay. That sets up the need for it. And they asked that somehow we come up with a format where these work change directives can be moved along by Greg and Mike. Right now we're at a 35,000 max on them, but they want to be able to approach that 35 before they issue the change order. If this valvoline one is at 40 to get us through sampling and finding out what's at it, they want to know, can we get in there and at least initiate it for a day or two of work and find out what we're dealing with to report back to DEC on, versus committing to the entire 40 to whatever. I talked with her about presenting it differently to us, so it didn't have to come before you guys initially, and just make sure it was under the thresholds that Mike and Greg can authorize, and then we would give you a change order later. But she wanted to put this through just to see that work change directives from them can keep moving. So 7.6, I'm not sure the The pumping one got put there just for reference. It was more so the Valvoline one that was supposed to be there. 7.6 has 2 items, CAS 3 and then a work change directive for C2A, which is actually Valvoline, which is relevant to.
So the CAS 3 shouldn't be on 7.6, is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
CAS 3 didn't need to come before the board. After we talked 2 weeks ago, that
Right.
one is within.
We're okay.
Within the limits that it doesn't have to come before the board.
Okay.
Valvoline, though, is slightly different, has some other issues with the state. B&L is coordinating with them. B&L will be on site to do the sample and test the samples on site then and there and make a determination of what it is and then report to the DEC. The DEC would be on site right then and there also to give direction. So again, it just goes to trying to feel out how do we keep them moving for a first day of stuff. If that first day is less than 40K, can we get in there and get that Valvoline thing tested and sampled and maybe some of it piled to throw out? We had a follow-up discussion with a few of us on that we may not even reach that 40K. It's an unknown right now if that material is highly hazardous or non-hazardous or just nothing at all and just smells bad. So until we get in there again with the sampler, we just don't know what we're dealing with. They gave a projection on a couple days worth of work if we do run into something.
But it's not 40,000 to sample it.
Correct. We could stipulate the work change directive, not exceed that 35K threshold, and that things stop and come through for a change order if we hit an issue. I don't know if that's appropriate though. Setting aside.
Have any idea of the source?
No, not yet. And a little bit of that, if the state says, look, we got to get in there and see what it is.
They got to test to see
Yeah,
what
no,
it
but
is.
you can test and see what it is for less than 35,000, I would say.
Correct. We could do one. It's a small area, so that was part of why they gave the number, the dollar amount in there was, if it's a small amount, what if we just take it all out while we're sampling and assume the worst case?
Alex, are you talking about just doing the soil that is associated with the excavation for the project?
Yes.
What is DEC's position on tracing it to the source?
What they've talked to B&L about is that they're okay with us doing our piece, and they'll address beyond our limit with the owner.
Well, how do we do our abatement and not have bleed over after we complete our work?
That's the unknown. And we could get in there and it actually just keeps running at us and we just got to stop. Or we could get in there and it's dry and it just smells bad and we might have a couple scoops to throw out and we're done in a day, or our total area could be a couple days. But we just don't know. We got to do that step of trying to figure out between B&L, town, contractor, and DEC, what are we dealing with?
We're just putting in those 4 footers, is that that's all that has to go in there, or whatever,
It's the
6?
It's the caissons, yeah.
K-Sense.
There are a handful. There's some for stairs and some for the unit itself.
Did I see something too, that you've had some debris buried in that area as well?
Yeah, a piece of a tire and some trash. So
So do we think that, obviously, the caissons aren't that heavy, but
there's also
you're
a
not
room.
gonna run into anything that's unsuitable that you're gonna chase?
Might find something else. That's, we run into that on project sites anywhere potentially, but so far we have not. There is also a secondary thing. Greg and I have to determine if their oil water separator's working. There's a rumor that thing's in bypass mode.
Do you know if there's any sample wells on the Valvoline property?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I don't think that there's a lot of value to the discussion if we're talking about the difference between $35,000 limit that the board has already set and a $40,000 issue. Live within the $35,000 and get it squared away so the board knows what's going on.
I told him, I said, can you give me a proposal that's $35,000 so I don't have to deal with this? And I got a $40,000.
Yeah.
So if they get it within parameters and we just stick to that and there's a not to exceed amount and we stop dead if we get to that limit, that's kind of where I was at. That's a Mike and Greg issue with the engineer and contractor. They did want us to discuss, what do we do on the ones that are definitively going to hit that 40,000? If there is an item that's coming up, can they still, like the CAS 3 grit removal, if we knew that all that removal was gonna be 50 and it has to happen, can they still issue a work change directive and keep it moving so it doesn't have a work delay? And that's where they were wondering if there was language that they could enter into there, if there's a, you know, if we're hitting a threshold and it definitely is going to cause a delay, can they work up to the work change directive level while they're processing the change order?
So Alex, I mean, I think actually, as I recall, the discussion we had between B&L, Mike, Greg, yourself, and myself was just identifying that there are certain issues that come up that have to be addressed, and the cost may be known to exceed the $35,000. Is the board open to authorizing the town supervisor to issue a work change directive when it's like the work has to be done immediately or very short time frame and there's not enough time for a board meeting to take place?
I'm not.
There's no dollar limit?
Yeah, that's a blank
No,
check.
yeah.
No, there's gotta be.
Yeah, and if a dollar limit is something that we would, I mean, I'm
There's
okay
gotta
with
be a
that,
dollar
but
limit.
it's just that question, cause some things have arisen, you
But-
know,
but
that could
then
have been
if-
resolved
Well,
by
I mean,
now.
Wouldn't I call for a special meeting?
Well,
You could do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, you could do that.
I mean, I understand that, but this is a scenario that is just
This is
not
hypothetical.
standard. This is,
Right.
it's, anything, and if it's an emergency and it's emergency, then there's other things that are involved, but this $35,000
Right.
we're talking about is to what the contractor's gonna spend. What additional fees is the engineer gonna charge? You know, where's the project budget? You know, what's the contingency level? How are we gonna pay for it? This is not just a little issue on, just because the board decided at 35,000, we need to pre-approve the issue. It's a financial issue, that the whole cost has to be projected to the town board, not just what a contractor can exceed without written authorization from the town board.
Yeah, so, I mean, if we work within that 35,000 still for work change directives under that, I think we just work through it with that. We've only run into a couple so far. Just so you're aware, we did have discussions on where we're at with change orders, any extra costs. We're under 200,000 in extras to date out of a $7.1 million contingency fee. So there are also pots of money, I think we discussed them last time. Each contract has a, say, 15,000 to something amount that they draw from for small incidentals. And that's been going fine. So I think we've had the discussion B&L wanted to have. I can report back to them on that. I think I'll just tell them we have to revisit Valvoline and see how to keep that moving.
Well, it sounds like you need to have the sampling done first,
Right.
right?
Correct. And
And then all you're trying to do is, once you have that sampling, you wanna go ahead and get the excavation done.
the pushback I got was that once they're there and the state's there and the contractor that's capable of doing the excavation if it's contaminated and their hauler, they're all there. They want to
Put it in.
give us the worst case and do it all without me saying, hey, thanks for showing up, go away for 3 weeks while I do the change order.
You know,
That's-
my concern is that, this is really unknown. The contamination of this is really unknown. And, you know, you could take the samples out of this and all of a sudden you could have free-flowing product, right? You just
Correct.
don't know.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then, at that point, we're kinda stopped anyway.
So I could tell them
So-
to give me a day rate. What's the 1 day rate? Get me in these
I-
4 holes and get me started.
For me, I'd rather know what it is first, before we just go open-ended. I realize there's a project delay to it, but to me, this is a pretty significant issue.
Yep. And I don't know that they've prescribed a time delay on this one yet.
I think they're anticipating that there will
Close.
be delay claims by the contractors as a result of the time it's taking to resolve this.
Precedent,
Well, that-
precedent shows
That
shows
delay's
that they will.
coming just because of this issue regardless. Right?
Right.
Even if we approve that tonight, there's still a time delay.
It's still behind.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just that if nothing got approved tonight,
just, I know, it adds to it.
right.
Yep,
Correct.
understood. It's just too open-ended for me.
I agree.
Okay. I think that covers 5.3 and 7.6.
Okay.
Cast 3 didn't need to be there for you tonight. That was an error in how
Yeah.
that got presented.
And so Alex, just so I have it clear in my head when inevitably this comes up again, because there's no resolution approving anything relating to this, so you're just moving forward with $35,000, get the sampling done.
Yep.
See what
Status
happens.
quo.
Okay.
Yep,
All right, thank you for that.
okay. You good? Any more questions on that? All right, we're gonna move on to 7.1, community room auto system discussion. Mr. Clerk, did you talk to anyone on this? Who headed this up with this wiring diagram?
I was wondering that myself.
Pardon?
I was wondering that myself.
Miss Renee, did you do this?
Yes, I got a hold of Andrew Tucci,
She snuck in.
he did all of the stuff,
Yeah,
and I asked him how specifically everything was set up. Like if he had any kind of, wiring diagrams or something that said how all of this fits together,
okay,
and he sent me that.
okay, thank you. So the board wanted to have this discussion about this system, and we asked to put this on the agenda. What do you guys want to do about it?
I think Mr. Tucci needs to get a letter from the town board saying that the system is malfunctioning with a detailed list of, what the issues are. The public cannot hear the audio on the streaming session. We have to physically touch the microphones with our mouths, for the public every time that they speak. The
No.
microphones turn on and off, just, one person's using it, and it waits 2 or 3 minutes, and it turns back off, so there's issues with that. There's the feedback issues with the volume. Those are things that I know of.
So you want a letter coming out of our office, out of my office, to Mr. Tucci?
Yeah,
Okay.
this wiring diagram is fine to say, how it's connected, but it is a schematic wiring diagram, and it doesn't address why something's not
Yeah,
functioning.
maybe some troubleshooting and a complete test of the system too, because I agree, that you can't hear the audio on the streaming at all. It's very difficult.
Did you have, if the board would be so, did you have a conversation with Andrew, the guy? Yes. Does the board mind if she tells, I
Not at
think
all.
she spoke to him, or would you
I-
rather not?
No, I'd prefer to actually come up and talk in the
Okay.
microphone and,
Okay.
yes.
I knew she had spoke to him.
Yeah, the problem with a lot of this is that usually you have your audio so everybody in the room can hear. That's usually separate from your streaming audio, because streaming audio, quite frankly, is the bane of everybody who's done streaming. With this, it is finding the sweet spot. Like I adjusted these for the last planning board meeting, so you don't have to do this anymore. But it's finding the sweet spot because on that cabinet, because everything is wired to work, these are working with that, which is working with the streaming. You have multiple things going on at the same time. So you have the microphone gains on one set of dials, and then you have the speaker gains on the other set of dials. And because there's wireless and interference that happens with wireless, occasionally you're going to have wireless stuff that goes on. What prevents a lot of that is the correct mic placement, because I know when I'm watching this at home, and even I was listening, I was coming back from somewhere, and I was listening to it, via my AirPods. I could hear some people all of the time. And then it's a matter of mic placement and being aware of, like, the way these microphones work, it's direct. It's not omnidirectional. So it is remembering that, and some of it is a little bit of an art to find the gain on the speakers and the gain on the microphones. The gain on the microphones are what people are going to hear at home. And if I'm at home, or even when I was on my phone listening to it on the way back down, I'd have my phone all the way up. and I could hear it, and I agree that the microphone quality could be better, different, however it is we want to do it. It's the same with the camera quality. It's a 720p camera, and it's 2025. That's just my gee whiz. But for the most part, I don't know what the town paid for it or anything like that, but some things, that cabinet right there is going to, if we want the microphones increased so people, they have more power, people can hear it at home, we crank up the gains. That, because everything is wired into the same set of boxes. You saw that wiring diagram, and everything is hooked up together. As soon as you do that, then the microphone gain is going to compete with the speaker gain. That's just how wireless and wires are going to work in this format. So I think some tweaks could be done. When I asked Andrew, I said, do we have anything that shows how all of this was put together? Because what they wound up doing is that all of this is tied in with Diligent. And I was on the, Andrew and I sat here one night with Megan, who's the Diligent person, and we had to create a link with YouTube. So it works great, but with that comes additional complications. So we can get with Andrew and go, what can be done with the equipment that we have? In the interim, it is a little bit of an art, and anybody that's done streaming, and I do a lot of streaming, anybody that's done that knows that audio is not fun. That's the biggest problem. For now, if we play with the sweet spot, and that's make sure they have the microphone on, like usually I can hear Nate, and usually I can hear Mike. Everybody else, it's a little bit of where's your microphone, and if like Alex will take his microphone and just, if it's not on him, and just use it like that. And that does help for now. But what we could do is still contact Andrew to see what can be done with the stuff that we have. And that's, there you go.
Well, if the board is all right with it, then I'll get on a call with Andrew along with her, because she's got way more tech knowledge than me, and we'll have a little conversation about this. Or would you rather write a letter? What would the board like to do?
I need it communicated that the system is not functional the way
I
that
will
it is.
communicate that.
And I also just want to make sure that, you know, some of the things that Renee is saying, you know, about the equipment, that was part of the analysis that we paid for, the system analysis and the design and the full system. So I'm not finding a lot of reason to just say, oh, okay, well now let's work with it, get new equipment. That should have been part of it to begin with. There's O&M stuff that I completely understand, that there's user interface, and the people here need to know how to functionally use it and adjust it. And that can't be an expectation that everybody can do that. Only a few people here should be making those changes, but I'm not real happy hearing that, you know, this is a system that we got because we've got this equipment. And there's complications. That was all part of what I was expecting to have be the solution.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is I have, if the board wants, I'll get on the phone with Andrew. I'm just asking, I'd like her there because he's gonna say things that I have no idea about. And I'd like to at least have someone in the room to tell me that's wrong. Give me some help. Is that all, are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right, thank you. Then
Renee, collar placement, is this down too far? You
This
think
is,
collar
he
placement
told
is
us
better?
one fist. That's what I always do, one fist.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
And
Andrew
sometimes
told
it's a
us.
matter of each one of the microphones are not, each one of the microphones are numbered.
Yeah.
Each one of the gains on the microphone, it's, you know, it's turn up, like I can hear Mike over the speakers. When Gene was talking right now, it was more difficult to hear him over the speakers. So that's a matter of going and finding your microphone number, turning the volume up of that so it comes through the speakers, and not affecting the gain when it goes out over the stream.
So then we have to have the same one, like I've had 4 before, tonight I have number 6. So do we have to do that?
No, you don't have to have the same one. It's just a matter of, as long as everybody is aware of how they sound on this.
I do want to make a statement, we do have to have the same one, because that was part of the health and safety issue, is that these, we were supposed to get microphones for everybody that was gonna use them, because just part of the health and safety issue.
Well, I
we
just
were
noticed
putting this
right
on.
now I got 6 before I had 4.
You were on
I've got
different
4,
sheets.
so I'm gonna do
That's
2
because you
fifths down.
changed sheets.
Is that right? Well, I tried to whisper.
He didn't pick up on that, Jay.
I know you
I
did.
didn't. It went right over
No,
my
I
head.
know it did.
You were right on that. I remember when we went through it. Everybody was supposed to have their
So
own
what do we want to do?
microphone.
I think he's gotta be here, and
You want me to ask
Well, I don't know,
Andrew to
I
come
think-
back? We'll put him on,
if he was here, we could say, hey, look, this is the problem, instead of,
right.
if that's proper.
Pretty good tonight.
I'll have I'll get a hold of him tomorrow, tell him that we want him, we'll put him on the agenda.
Obviously like that,
Uh,
that's way better.
See, we hear ourselves, and we think we're talking loud, because we're talking loud, but I talk to anybody who listens and watches
It's
over there, they
terrible.
can't hear us at all.
No,
And whenever Adam talks, no one ever's gonna hear him talk.
no.
Never,
That's
ever,
a true
ever.
fact, Adam.
And you gotta raise your mic still.
So
So-
people
so
are not
Dave-
getting
I
what
tried
we
so
paid
hard.
for.
Dave, your microphone looks too far down. I know Adam's is.
Yep. Their 1 fist is what Andrew told us. That's what I do
That's
every
too far
time.
down?
Talk again.
You're crazy, man.
Yeah, no, that to me sounds better
does.
already.
Test, test. Test, test.
That sounds better.
You
You're
gotta
very.
remember, you
A
talk
lot
like
of it
this,
is
you don't talk
microphone
like that.
placement.
But
So
if
we
there's-
almost, we
I
need
just
somebody
raised
that can operate the system, and we need to,
if there was like a meter where we can see where we are when we're talking.
There is. There's a meter, when we look over at the microphone
But
gain,
it's gotta be right there when we're talking, so we can monitor ourselves,
that would be nice.
not in the cupboard somewhere.
I know I struggle sometimes. I can usually hear Dave. Adam, I can't ever hear. And Gene, I struggle with that. But Alex, you're doing better.
I usually hold mine
for the
because
amount of money we paid.
my
for it, I
beard
don't
would
think
rub
it's
in it
So look,
otherwise.
you want me to get Andrew back in here?
I'm sorry, I can't understand.
What do you guys want to do?
Gene's
I
got the
think the
beard clip.
conversation just needs to start with them, tell them what functionally is wrong with it.
Then
And
me and Mr.
start
Renee
from
will
there.
make a phone call. Okay?
right. Thank you
You
very
good with that? Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Me, again.
Comprehensive plan. Proposals.
Okay, we opened these Thursday at 2 o'clock as scheduled. And we had told you we would give you a quick update by the Thursday 4 o'clock deadline and get them available to you. Jody, Ab, and I met quickly at the opening to discuss how to present them. I believe you have all the proposals. We stuck them in confidential for you. None of us had a chance to really go through them in detail at that point. So we put them in for you guys to have confidentially. One of them was an MRB group, had a UPS breakdown. So they submitted theirs via email, but we did not receive a hard copy that was required as part of the process.
We did, just not on time. It came a day after.
Right, it came a day after, so being that they did not meet the time frame, I rejected theirs, even though they had an excuse. You know, there's always an excuse, unfortunately for them. So we give you the bid tabulation just for information purposes and to let you know that we're going to get into reviewing them. MRB group, even though we're gonna reject them, is 225,800,000. Again, here the cost is only a small percentage of the review. But then if you look at all the other 5, they're all essentially $150,000. So we got some, we talked about inconsistent on the last one. This one is
This one's really close. right?
unbelievably
Yeah.
consistent. I've never had anything this tightly grouped.
Very nice.
So that said, no action from you guys tonight, but I don't know, I know I did miss one meeting months ago. Schedule-wise, we're scheduled to shortlist for interviews on 8/6, and then we would move into interviews on 9/3. I don't know who the team is on this one. I kind of stepped up and did the RFQ for this and worked on that process, but I don't know what the comp plan team is currently for the interview process?
I would suggest it be the board.
Okay, I think that's why you had it projected to decide on scheduling on 8/6 and then get the interviews set for 9/3. That was actually in the advertisement and in the RFQ documents. And then you're looking at finalist selection for September 17th, and then get into contract negotiations and award late October. So we're on schedule from the original schedule.
Okay.
You'll just have to let me know what you need from me from this point forward.
Alex, what I would expect from you is a coordinated review of the proposals between your office and Nate's office to make sure that the proposals were responsive and, you know, an actual review of it and a recommendation if you feel that it's appropriate for you or not. Because from my point of view is we'll take that and shortlist it if or do them all. But the board's got to decide who to interview.
I could do my usual ranking with Nate and give you that same thing like I did today on the other one. You can take it for what it is and interview all or none or 3.
And you would have that by the next meeting?
Yeah, that's the schedule for these,
The
as long
8th.
as
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the short list.
it's a week to get through.
8/6.
And that's just to get the first step done on it, so that's not bad.
Okay.
Let's see. I think my other pieces relative to the comp plan are later. Yeah, I'm off until later.
Okay, any questions for Alex?
I don't have any.
No.
Jay, I didn't hear you.
No, none.
Okay. You good, Alex?
I am.
Okay. We're gonna move on to 7.3, camera safety concerns discussion. The first one is the TrueView quote. Everyone see that? That is for memory, I guess is the way I look at it.
So this was resurfaced in part because of the conversation started because our system was not capable of taking care of
Saving
FOIL
enough
requests.
data, saving enough data for the request we made.
Well,
Yes.
there've been several FOIL requests that we haven't been able to secure because we
Correct.
don't have the storage for it. So that was where it started. There've been a couple of other requests for storage that we, to draw from that we don't have. So I know that that's why this got resurfaced. But just as a function of the town being able to address the legal portion of a FOIL and retain those documents outside of, you know, the other stuff that we talked about, I think that this is necessary to move forward with.
You gonna do a budget adjustment, or what, how you propose we pay for it?
I didn't look at that.
Okay.
I didn't look at it, see if there's a line item for contracts or hardware for
Okay.
for the system yet.
What's the rest of the board's opinion on that?
I agree, this needs to be updated. We need to know how we're gonna pay for it.
Right.
When we look at this, essentially, we're getting the storage here, but if I had to look at this in layman's terms, what are we able to store? Is this enough that, you know, is someone gonna come back to us in 6 months going, really didn't quite have it? So, you know, what does this give us? 60 days, 90 days, 120 days? I mean, I'm just looking at space, but I don't know how much gets consumed.
And he doesn't spell that out.
It says it doubles the existing video retention, which
But-
So
right now is
instead of 30, it'd be 60 days.
60 days.
But I didn't even think the video retention was 30. Is it?
No, it is 30. But it's on day 31, it overwrites.
Yeah.
It erases the oldest one.
It
Okay,
erases the
I
old
wasn't
one.
even aware, because I thought we had that conversation that we weren't, it didn't save, I didn't even think it saved 30.
It did, it just automatically cuts that one off, and if
So
you wanna
basically,
go
this is
back,
gonna give us 60 days.
it's gonna
And
give
on
you
the 61st day,
No, it's gonna give us the capability to duplicate 30 days.
store it.
store it,
Store
okay,
it. Somebody
save.
gets a FOIL request for this week, we now have the storage capacity
Be-
to segment off.
So we can segment it, and then it's up to us how much is actually saved
Saved.
Right.
in perpetuity.
Right,
Correct.
in any of the conversation or the correspondence, it was not to double what we're saving. as a running
This is
save.
strictly a storage
This
function.
is storage issue.
Right. So we could pick
So how
a
many
bunch of
days
days
could
that
we-
we could pick days, different days that we
That's-
wanted to
that's what I
capture
was
this
gonna ask
week,
Mike.
we
Yes.
could get that.
All right, so you can select the days that you're gonna save. Well, as long as they're within that 30 and you saved them in time.
Right.
Right.
Better, Renee? Okay, so, but this doesn't tell me how many days that is.
I'll get them to clarify that.
I'm just curious to what that is, that's all.
Well, if the board wants.
And then
I'll-
how do we manage that? You know, you might have some storage that you're like, okay, after 2 years, I don't want that, but I don't wanna buy more storage. Can I overwrite that?
I believe so, it gives you more control.
I'm looking at this as a separate partition issue. We're only storing 30 days on a revolving
Yep.
30 days. If
Yep.
we're gonna do it, we don't keep that,
No,
it's gone, it's gone.
but let's say you decide to pick a week.
Mhm.
You save that week, it's stored.
Mhm.
You do that every few months. Pretty soon, you've got 50 weeks stored.
Oh.
How do you manage that storage data going forward?
You have to add more, because it's all integral with the software. It's not like putting a picture on a thumb drive.
That's what I was, okay, that's what I was
But,
asking.
and I could be way, when he was explaining it to me, it also helps you be able to retrieve without, like, you could pick a day.
Oh, I'm sure it has a sort function to it, or a
That's-
filter function to it,
yep.
that's great. I'm just thinking that we've got this data stored, and, you know, it's easy when you start on day one, it's small. Pretty soon, after a couple of
Right.
years,
It's large.
I've got a chunk of data. Are we gonna impose a policy that after 5 years or 7 years, are we gonna keep it forever?
No.
Because essentially, you're partitioning it, right? You're keeping this data someplace.
It depends on why you're taking, the only reason we're taking it, I mean, let's talk about the scenarios of why. We got a FOIL request.
Yep.
That gets segmented off where we have retention periods that we're required to keep them for that.
Yep.
If there is a request for whatever to segment off, 15 days of it, then that request comes with a time frame, an end date of how long we keep it.
Okay, so they're just the legal retention periods, is what we're following.
But if there's not a record,
We don't, there's no legal requirement for us
No.
to keep
No.
this at all. We're just doing a 30-day loop. So 30 days, it's gone anyway. But
But once it's stored, how long are we keeping that?
then those are retention periods, yes.
We have to decide that when we decide what we're gonna keep, would be
Right.
my guess. If we make a
Right.
motion or make a resolution
Right.
for a
Well,
FOIL or whatever, then we have, there's
State-
gonna be a time frame with a FOIL.
Yeah, the state has a records retention schedule that you have to follow,
Yes.
and
Right.
generally speaking, videos are, I'm just going off memory here, like if there's an incident, you gotta keep it for it's 2, 3, 7 years.
Yep.
If there's not, then
You can
you
get rid of
can
it.
almost get rid of it, pretty quickly.
I'm just trying to manage
it would
that,
depend on the statute
so
of
it
what
doesn't
the
turn
issue
into
was, right?
100,000,
Yeah.
This is just video. There's no audio?
right?
It's just,
Correct.
just video.
Better not be audio.
So when you're saying doing foils, they're just going after video foils?
Sometimes.
Is that what I'm,
Yep.
okay,
And that's what I did when I was a citizen.
okay.
I captured what actually happened on certain days.
I mean, I understand the need, I was just trying to figure out
Well, I can
the
get.
size of the
I can
storage,
get-
you know? In terms of days, that's gonna make sense to me.
Well, Jay, I'll ask him to give us a more breakdown on that.
I think the issue,
It-
Mike, that is, we don't, this is only gonna give us the capacity to store up to 30 days
Right.
of video. If we have to keep that for 3 years, that's not the place that we should be keeping it. We need a mechanism in
No,
place
but
to
the
get it off
TrueView
when they have
does
to get
not
there.
want, they're not gonna score them. Let's say you got a section that you wanna save. They're not gonna save it for us. This system would allow us to save it. They're not gonna be responsible for it.
Understood.
So let's say there was a FOIL, we now have the capability of doing it, because they're not gonna store and be legally responsible if something got lost.
So who goes and captures this data within this 30-day period to store?
Well, you would have them come secure it to get it for you. I don't think we have someone I don't know who
Right.
did it before, I don't, but
They did it before.
Yes.
this company.
TrueView would come in
Yes,
and do it.
True.
and that's what we did before, yeah, that's
Yep.
right. They come in. But they can only retrieve what our system is capable of doing.
Right, within that 30-day
Yeah.
period, I understand.
How long can you reach back for a FOIL?
Well, you can reach back
So-
forever, but if the record isn't
But if
there,
you
we
don't
don't
have it-
have it, we don't have it.
Right.
30 days.
Yeah, so essentially, that's where we are, 30 days.
30 days for $24,000? Is that what we're talking about?
No.
Or 60? Or what?
No, we're,
No.
our video retention storage.
Right, for right now
30
is-
days
right now.
Is not being proposed to change.
Right.
The $24,000 is to add enough storage for us to store up to 30 days of retained video.
So if someone foiled it, Dave,
So the question to me is, who is going to go through these videos?
we would call them to come in and pull it out, but they would save it on our server. I don't know if I'm
But
saying that
how do we
right.
know what's important?
Because you
It's
got a
what's
FOIL
requested.
request.
Yeah,
But that's why I asked you, how far can you reach back?
30,
You would,
It's
if
30
they
days
foiled
is
our
it.
cameras, that's all we could reach back.
right.
Because someone's gonna say, how long is your system? We say 30 days. We're foiling, I wanna foil it.
Okay.
And then we say, sorry, we can't give it to you because we never saved it.
So we can say, sorry, that's what we got. Okay. I'm
It's
just.
happened in the
So
past.
Gene, you're
It's
saying
happened in the
this
past.
is 30 days worth of storage?
Yes.
That answers that question.
Okay.
30 days.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if somebody's like 5 years from now go, you remember when you
No.
ran over my dog out in the parking lot, you know?
Nope,
Sorry, we don't have the video.
we don't have it.
Okay.
And there's no requirement under a 404.
Not under the, no. If it
for
doesn't
the town to
exist.
create a document that does not exist.
Right.
Or a record.
So you want a more intense description?
No,
Okay. Then what do we wanna do with it, gentlemen?
I do think that Jay's question has got some validity as far as like, I mean, for the capacity of that. You know, what happens if if we're required to keep something for 30 days and this fills up? Is it a different, or is our only option to go to a different size, you know, increase that server size, or can we transfer it over to
No, I
another
think
user?
the person from TrueView would come in and say, all right, you're getting full, what can we get rid of?
Yeah, but what if we had to
Or
do
what if we have
all
to
of our
expand
cameras
it?
for
Right,
30 days?
right.
And we put it over onto there, then it's completely full.
Right, I mean,
Yes.
and there's, you know, and I'm just kind of walking through the process, but if somebody asks us for 30 days worth of video for every camera, I think that we've gotta go through the process of saying, well, let's narrow this down.
Right.
And find out what exactly is it that you're looking for, so
Right.
that we can give that to you.
Right.
So, I mean, there's those options, but.
If
we've
someone
got
has a
17
particular
files-
date and time, it's easier for TrueView to find it. If someone does broad scope, I want the last 2 days or the last 3 days, that's a lot more intense.
Yeah, and I don't think that having an additional, a storage size of 30 days is too little to be talking about. I mean, that seems appropriate to me.
Okay? How we, to Mr. Kevin's point, how are we gonna pay for it if you choose to do this?
Well, I think there's still some questions on it, correct?
I'm just asking. Yeah. You want more information from them? You want them to come in and speak to all of you?
No, the only question that I have is, because the sole purpose of this is for file retention, and once we retain it, we've gotta keep it for a certain period of time, and if this gets full,
Who cleans it?
how do we migrate it? Can we add additional storage, or do we have to, this is for 20, for an additional 14 terabytes? So, do we have to dispose of a 14 terabit partition section and go to a 28 terabit? Or can we
Is it
just add
expandable? Right.
another 14? Is it expandable?
Okay.
As far as the, we've got a records management line for equipment that is at $500. So there's townwide technology line that was adopted at $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see a different line item other than those two.
Would be under grounds, buildings.
Yeah, well, the equipment line item for buildings was $1,000.
Yep.
So
Permanent
There-
improvements,
there
you got
isn't-
nothing.
there isn't any, records management is probably the most appropriate place that I see in our budget for that. But if we do a fund adjustment from our fund balance to that line item to increase that from
Which line are you gonna go from?
A 1630.200. It's on page 5 of the budget.
Yeah, I'm on 5.
Yep, that equipment line is at 500. That was what was adopted. So do a budget adjustment from the fund balance to that line item. Of $25,000.
What's the heading on that? Record management, you're gonna go to equipment?
Yeah.
Okay.
A 1630.2.
200, okay. Is that a motion?
Well, but we were just just having a conversation of where it could come from. But no, I wouldn't make the motion. We'd have to do a resolution, so we could just prepare the resolution to do that.
What's the thoughts, gentlemen? You wanna do this or not?
Yes.
David, yes?
Yes.
Jay? You
Yes.
said yes?
Yes, I did. Move forward.
All right, so Nate gonna prepare a resolution to take money from the fund balance and move it over to 1630-200 in the amount of 25,000.
And are you approving this TrueView quote then?
For the,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, for the TrueView quote, yes.
Right. Accepting the contract.
Yep. We good with that, gentlemen?
Yes.
Yeah.
The hell happened?
Come on, Alex.
Your microphone's too close to your mouth.
And it was 1630-200.
1630-200.
Got it.
It's under, record management. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the safety memo. Still on 7.3. And we have a bunch of other documents that are here. Here, Kevin, thank you.
Yep.
Discussion?
So there's concern, right? We had a concern about the cameras.
Yep.
The TVs.
Yep. What's the question?
Well, I mean, people are she voiced
Yeah,
it.
no.
and-
No,
and
this
so-
is the
so
board
why are
says-
they, why
so-
are they being,
So I'm
moved
the
around.
administrator, according to the board and the judge. There was issues going on in the building where I couldn't go anywhere in the building without people. Why is Mike talking to so-and-so in this room? We had issues where it seemed that the staff is sitting there watching. What made me think of doing it was Mr. Gene Holbert had made the question that the system was not put in, and there was other staff members talking about it that originally they all didn't have, sit there and watch cameras. Now, if they're the concerns that Ms. Joy brought up, I find pretty interesting because with some of the things that she's talking about, then we need cameras in every single station. We need them in the highway. And if you look at the recommendations from the safety, from the report that they did a couple years ago, the highway needs to have set access controls to security. Employees should always be carrying their key fobs on their persons. So I took the cameras, what they originally were, 4 departments. They see the hallway. I had talked to Greg at the water department. He said, there's no reason. These doors are locked. The other doors are locked. They shouldn't, why should people in the highway department be watching what's going on upstairs or in this room? Because we don't have any over there. And it's like, I don't think it's a need to have this. I don't believe that's what the system was designed for in the first place. I don't. I don't think that's what the cameras were for. But I did it. If the board wants to do something different, tell me what that is.
I feel it's a safety issue.
Okay? So you're gonna have people sit there and watch cameras all day long.
Then, I think if there's an active shooter in this building and law enforcement can view the cameras in another building that's not tied to here.
Okay?
And same thing with this building. If there was an active shooter or an issue going on in that building.
Are there cameras in the highway department?
Nope. Absolutely none.
Motion detectors, we have nothing on our windows. The recommendation was that we have sensors put on windows because somebody, and I do know for a fact that Harold Burns, the former employee, locked himself out, so he broke into the garage to get his keys. This was several years ago. Anybody can walk into our garage by jimmying those windows, and we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in privileges that can walk out the door.
And they don't even keep the door shut half the time over in the highway department. But this community room, people rent this community room. The staff shouldn't be watching what's going on, who's renting this, or who's in here, or who's talking to anyone. I think that is not what this system was designed for.
Well, I think the system's designed for safety, and that's the whole idea of the system to be put in was for safety.
I don't believe that's what it was for.
Well,
I believe it was to retain if you had an incident, but if it's monitoring,
I wasn't here when it was put in, so you were here when it was put in, so what was it put in for?
It was not put in to be a television show for people to watch.
I agree, it shouldn't be, but it
But-
should be a safety.
It is, but the intention of all of this started from a report that was done by an outside security company that came in, and the original building was built with 18 cameras in it. And that camera system went for a decade and a half, a decade plus, with nobody monitoring it, it just being recorded. The staff here didn't have access to it. Nobody had access to it. It was just for recording. The intention of it still hasn't changed, where the town benefits from it going forward, which was part of the secure vestibule issue, is that the camera situations are for entry coming in. Once the secure vestibule project gets completed, there's not gonna be access to any door coming in. We've got one entry in for the building with camera access at that door. But having it installed on computers and on monitors throughout it, there were a lot of things that were in that report that specifically gave the pros and cons of why you can have it, but you shouldn't have them. Because the security issue for the public coming in and seeing them on the displays, on the walls, that shows where there's vulnerability in the security system. So there is much more of a reason not to have them on and displayed than there is to have them displayed. And it was never presented to the town board as a way to, see who's in what office, or how long they're in their office, or what they're working on, and it was also, there's a couple of issues with having, people watching people in their offices. That's a violation of a privacy issue, but because the intent is they're just to go and get the recording to find out what happened.
and whether it's schools, hospitals.
So where do we go now?
How many cameras are we up to, 50?
30-some,
32, I think.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
recently you just had these TV screens put in all the different offices, correct?
And that was on me. That was a mistake, because I thought it would be better to do that instead of people having them on their computers and you can't tell what they're doing. And
But obviously it wasn't.
it
right?
didn't, it was a bad idea.
No,
I'll
no,
take
and I'm just
full-
saying, so
I'll
do
take
we
full-
just take them back out now? I mean, what do we do?
I suggested that based on when I was a citizen and what people were doing in here. Now, after being here a year and a half and watching what everyone's doing, and where I go and where people are, if I'm in here talking to someone, I got people in the hallway watching, people coming through, why is Mike talking to this person? Why am that? That stuff, it's insane. I don't care if you're in a school, I don't care where you are. Not everyone is sitting there watching the TV of every single buddy in every single department. And if it's true that we have to worry because someone's working by themselves, then you need a camera in every single so that you can see where everyone is. And you can't have that either.
I go in and out of public buildings, government buildings
So
all
do
the
I.
time, and I never
You don't.
never see a monitor. I never see a display
Exactly.
board.
What's a, yeah.
This is not downtown Binghamton's, government plaza building either, so we don't have a security office, it's not a casino where there's 17 people sitting around watching every camera. That's not, I know we don't have that here, but I don't go anywhere where I don't see a camera in a corner or on a, ceiling, things like that. So some of the benefits to have them, I mean, there are some benefits to having them, but there's more issues with not having, or having.
And
access
then
to
you
them,
have
so.
employees that are like, let's go down here, and that happened when I was a citizen. There are people in the building say, come down here and talk, because they can't, this is private here. It's gotten out of hand. And yes, Kevin, you're 100% right, because when I first started, I thought having them on their computer, I thought that was,
I'm not
yeah.
saying, I'm
No,
not
but
faulting you at that, I'm
I-
just
I
saying.
wish I
I
didn't
just
go down.
remember
So,
we
yeah.
put these TVs in these
Yeah.
places, I remember
and I
voting
do
on it, and I
believe,
just like,
I
well, let's
do-
take them out then.
well, I do believe that seeing the hallway, seeing the parking lots, things like that, general stuff is fine. But this department being able to see what's going on in the court, in the hallway up here or over there, I think that's ridiculous. You should be able to see what's coming in the front door if your office is there.
So is that door locked?
Yes,
If someone's using this room during the day, is that
we
door locked into
put
the?
me and Greg put a fob on the door so that when the public is in here using this room, they can't just wander through. So now everyone has to come through the front door. Now, when we put fobs on stuff, we even had complaints from the highway department. Miss Joy and Miss Darren gave me a hard time complaining that we shouldn't have to bring our fobs because why is the mailroom there? Well, after I caught 3 citizens walking in the mailroom, I said, Greg, we can't have people wandering down the hallway because they're looking for the code or they're looking for this, opening up the door. So we put a fob, and I got grief for that.
I'm not,
So whatever the board chooses to do,
So,
fobs are fine.
so it sounds like there's a handful of issues here, right? One, the TV screens, and 2, the placement of some of these cameras. And I think 3 is to understand, I guess, is it the supervisor's prerogative to shut those off?
I think it is when we made him and the judge, the supervisor and the judge, the administrators.
I just want to be clear about it.
That's,
Yeah.
I did
And
not
you
have
can
this
revoke
situation
that
in mind
anytime
when
you want.
when we discussed it, but they were the administrators.
we were the administrators.
So but at the same time, we also defined who was authorized to view those, and those were the administrators. It wasn't the general
Right.
staff. So,
I'm glad you refreshed me on that. I forgot that we did give him
Yeah.
and the judge the,
Yeah.
yeah,
I forgot that.
And I didn't shut them all off. I just looked at, each department, what do they need to see for their safety? They need to see the parking lot, the main doors. They don't need to see every single buddy in every single cubicle. There's no reason for that.
So where do we go now?
I don't
We
think
can,
we go anywhere unless we're talking about
Yeah.
revoking his prerogative to do
Exactly.
that.
No.
I'm just saying, we had the discussion, but I don't,
Well, we
unless
opened the
somebody,
can of,
we did, but unless somebody's gonna make a motion to.
Right.
I think you
And
start
that's-
there to revoke
I
his
tried to fix it.
prerogative. I don't think it's our decision to decide how many cameras stay or whether the TVs get turned back on. At least not at this juncture.
I didn't shut them
it's
all
still a
off. I
town
didn't shut any
board.
cameras
Yeah,
off, just to make it clear.
I think it's a valid discussion.
still a
I
town-
do
still a
too,
town
but
board
I'm
dec-
just saying, I don't know how you make that decision.
I think
If-
that the authority needs to reside in the 2 positions that we assigned it to.
Agreed. And I
if
guess
a
that's what
dec-
I'm getting at.
If there was a decision made by Mike to turn them off that the board disagreed with.
And I did consult with the judge because he's the other administrator, and I said, what do you
then
think
can
we
have
should do?
those then
So that's what
I
we
think
did.
that we have a conversation, and if we want them back on, we turn them back on.
Exactly.
But I don't want to handcuff the decision-making process on that. That's
I
just my-
don't either, which is why I said that.
Yeah.
and I brought it up because I thought it was on the town board. And I honestly forgot that we did do that, now that you said, I actually absolutely remember
And
that.
so when I saw what was
Because we
happening,
went through this before.
yeah,
Oh,
We go through this every year.
Yeah, and I also think that you just, as soon as the secure vestibule project is
That'll
done,
solve
save a lot of problems.
it really will, because it's gonna put that in one spot.
Exactly.
For entry in. The only, and then the courts issue, court is the only one that has a separate entry point for normal access when they're doing their court
Right.
stuff, but other than that, and having fobs on doors, I'm a complete supporter of that.
Every door should have a fob
I
on it.
agree with the
Yeah.
fobs, everything
Yeah.
should be locked down.
Yep. To your point, Kevin,
But
if there's an active shooter,
Yep.
we don't have bullet-resistant glass
Walls,
in
nothing.
anything. The walls aren't done, so if anybody does get in, having the doors locked and shut is another security because it takes time to get through that.
Now, here's another thing that we did. We had people walking in using their fobs into the personal, so you have some departments where it's open to the public, then there's a door where the staff is. We had other people from other departments just walking into their departments. And what I did is I said, Greg, let's limit it that. But to Ms. Joy's point, I think an overall fob that would get in anywhere in emergency, like where the AD would be smart. You break the glass if you ever had to, but we can't have just any staff. I work in
I
all
don't
sorts.
know.
Huh?
Really?
I work.
I mean, if they have business in that office, shouldn't they be able, I mean, they're
But
an
they-
employee of the town,
But
shouldn't they be
they
able to go into
shouldn't.
that office?
But well,
Maybe they don't have business in the office.
exactly. And if they do, they can come to the counter.
But if they,
They can come to the counter just like I do.
I mean, I look at it as
Yeah,
employee of the town as,
right. But
I think to discuss that.
I've been in a lot of places, and one employee can't go in every single door. Everyone's restricted. Why are you in there? Why are you in there? I mean, in private business, that happens all the time.
so basically you would restrict everybody to their own department,
Right, well, right. Why should?
correct?
Correct.
Or the common.
Or they come to the common areas. They
Okay.
shouldn't, because how do you
So
hold?
you should do that then?
Right, and I've done
So
it.
everybody in the town should be restricted only to their department?
Right, and that's what
And the
we've
common
been
area.
trying to
to
do.
the common area.
Yes, because
fine, I
how
mean-
do you hold anyone accountable to their files or anything when anyone can just walk in their office when they're not
Yeah,
there?
but I just wanna make sure you're not picking certain people
No,
out
I'm
that you
trying.
don't want them to
I
go in
started
this
with the
area.
mailroom.
If you
Right.
do it for everybody,
No,
Yes.
then
I want to
I
do
don't
it
have a
across
problem
the
with it, but I
board.
don't think it should be, somebody should get a treat and somebody shouldn't
No,
get a treat.
I want to
Right.
do it across the board. And I want
That's
department
valid,
heads,
Kevin, thanks for bringing that up. 'cause it's
yes, to
valid.
go
that's
to the
important.
common
I
areas.
don't, I
They're
wanna
supposed,
make sure it's done
yes,
across the board correctly.
yes, I want to do it across the
Okay.
board 100%. And I started with the mailroom, and that caused a big ruckus, just starting there.
Well, I mean, if it's been,
If
If
Adam,
if
if
all the
Ad-
employees
if
know
Adam
about
locks
it,
his,
do all the
if
employees
if
know
Adam
about it?
locks his doors, no one else should go in there. The only one that has the master key, Tracy, and I do,
Absolutely.
I
Well,
think
it's his-
that's it. Same thing with my office, same thing, it should be the same way with code, it should be the same way the water department. Same way with the highway department. They lock their doors, the average person that's working in this building shouldn't be able to go over, open Joy's door, and sit at her desk and do whatever the hell they want to do. They shouldn't.
I don't have a fob on my door.
Well, you have a key, but
It's unlocked when you're there.
just because you're an employee of the town doesn't give you right to do anything
that's
you want
fine.
inside this
I
building.
just wanna make sure it's done,
I want to do it
the
across
way
the
you were
board.
explaining it was I had to take this person off of here and there. I just wanna make sure it's done.
Well, we don't have that many. The clerk has already got, that's isolated. When he shuts his door, that door's shut, no one's in there.
I just kind of, I'm kind of getting lost in the conversation because it
Okay.
started out as a video surveillance kind of issue, and now we're on the key
Okay.
fob access.
Well, I thought that
which
was a
is- which
valid
is fine,
point.
but are we all set with the video?
We good?
Yes.
Any more questions there?
I really think, Mike, that just for you to wrap this up,
Yeah?
as the person, if you would get with the judge,
Yep,
as the administrators,
yep,
and disseminate to the town board what it actually you did,
okay,
and also, just to summarize, just to recap it, who has the authority to view those feeds, and for what purpose,
okay.
okay? As the administrator, that I think falls under your purview.
So I'll show you which cameras they can, like the lobby, or do you want to, or does the board feel that we shouldn't be doing this at all?
No, as the administrator, I'm asking you to tell us what you think is, what you want.
And I will consult again with the judge, because I like his input. He's been in a lot of different situations.
Because there are features in the system for emergency services, whether it be any kind of emergency, whether it's police, fire, to have access to this system outside remotely
Okay,
to address a camera issue, to address, you know, if there's a robbery or whatever, so they can see, they can have
Yeah.
access to that. So that's part
Okay.
of the system administration that the emergency services had.
Okay,
Because I just don't think there's a need to have the cameras up anywhere.
in anywhere?
I don't think there's a need to have them up anywhere,
The screens.
the screens.
Is that what you
That's
want?
my, that's, I'm just,
Well,
I'm just having
I'd
the
like to,
conversation.
I want to do what the board wants, so,
So Mike, maybe make that part of your recommendation to the board in writing.
okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Talk to the judge.
I'm gonna talk to the
Come
judge.
back to us with your.
Okay, can we move on?
Please.
All right, so now we're, thank you, Nate.
Don't say.
What? What's that, where are we?
So the fob issue is-
7.4.
So were we done with the fobs?
It is a separate issue. But I don't necessarily need to have the conversation tonight, but I do want to get
Future topic, fobs?
clarity on what it is. Because that's something that has to be decided and discussed and a policy put in place and
Good.
and get, you know, and I think the department heads should give some feedback on that, so we can take that all into account.
Might I suggest, since Mike was the one who brought it up and is also overseeing the camera stuff, maybe you have him, because he has an idea of what he thinks, right? Have him put it in writing and ask the department heads to comment on it, so you guys can then see more what he's really talking about.
So I'll put a letter out of what I'm thinking, send it to each department head, get their feedback, give it all to you gentlemen. Okay?
If you want to involve them first, that's fine. That doesn't matter. to me.
I didn't hear you.
If you want to involve the department heads first, or get feedback from the board first, I'm leaving that up to your call.
Give us your recommendation.
Yeah,
We're just looking for,
I was going to his thing to try to get the department heads so that you're seeing mine plus theirs.
exactly.
Save some time.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's
Okay?
Whatever.
All right.
Thank you.
Future topic. All right, thank you. All right, we're gonna go to water study. Mr. Alex, you gotta wake up.
All right, let's see, I'm covering this one as well tonight. Greg was gonna do this one, but he couldn't make it. Project summary was there. We've seen this before, it's a couple times, just on the status of where the preliminary engineering report is going. It was completed. Now we're at the phase of, we wanna get the full environmental assessment reviewed via the public hearing process as well as the preliminary engineering report. So the schedule on that, as requested a couple weeks ago, was to get it before you tonight so that we can have Nate schedule a public hearing with us for August 6th. I had discussions with him about giving a summary, gave us the full EAF Part 1, Part 2, and 3 are blank currently. Leeson, I think, is going to work up a Part 2 recommendation as we go. The next piece is just the plan engineering report itself, and then the last document there was just a mistake, I believe. I talked with her about it, and I'm not sure why that one ended up in there. That's an older version from March, just explaining where we were at that time. It got put back in accidentally, so I think it actually even includes the EAF again. So ignore that last document. I can answer any questions you have on this, but really we're looking to get on a public hearing for 2 weeks from now.
You'll see the reference to C 9.8, that's the resolution scheduling, or the order scheduling a public hearing.
What date did you give that for the public hearing?
It'll be August 6th,
Okay,
the next meeting.
yep,
With that is the bond. Can you explain that part, Nate?
Yeah, there will be a bond resolution. Hawkins Delafield is putting that together. Bob Smith called me yesterday, 2 days ago. Apparently, he thought that they had a open-ended engagement letter with the town just to provide bond services, and then apparently they don't, so he was supposed to be getting me a formal engagement letter. They are going to move forward with the work to put the bond resolution together, just so otherwise it's not going to be ready for August 6th, unless you tell me, no, you guys want to wait to formally have their engagement letter and have them not do any work on the bond resolution until they are more explicitly authorized.
what do you wanna do?
I prefer that they proceed.
Proceed?
I prefer that they proceed.
David, Kevin, Jay?
Yeah.
They're the ones taking the risk,
yeah.
right?
Yep, they're
Proceed.
taking the risk.
I'm fine with it.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything Anything else, Alex?
What we're trying to stay ahead of here is the WIA submission for any grant funding on anything is on or before September 12th. That deadline for that one, for some reason, ended up September instead of July. So they're on good track for that.
Okay.
So there was Barton and Judas did this, put together this plan, right?
Correct.
And so now went through the whole system to rate it to see if it's gonna wear out quickly or not, or this needs to be replaced. So they had a bunch of recommendations, right? Now, do we, or what this public forum is gonna be, people are gonna debate whether or not these things need to be done or not? Or do we automatically accept all the things they recommend to be done that we're gonna bond for, and we're gonna do every single one that they listed in here? Or do we pick apart which ones we think are more important, or we do the whole project all at once?
So Greg and I have been involved in the process with them creating the document, but yes, you can take that opportunity between now and end of the public hearing to review them just like we did. And if there's something you don't want to pursue, or if they say we'd like to pursue a grant for this one, we can tell them yes or no.
Alex, but the way that I'm understanding this process is we are going through this step to make the application for the grant. And if the grant does not get awarded to us,
Then
we
we-
are not obligated to move forward with the project.
Correct.
Okay,
So the grant is actually, I mean, they're looking at an overall project to do the whole shebang in there. But we could thin it out.
So at this point, we wanna go for it to try
yeah,
to get the grant.
okay. Yeah. I just don't know what the people were gonna have the public hearing, what they were gonna say, like,
Correct. The big thing is, you know, I think everybody's familiar with it. We're trying to deal with the wells that have the PFAS and
Yeah.
also the dioxane and solve that problem, but lumped in a whole bunch of other stuff.
Okay.
B&L will be here for the public hearing, so they'll present whatever we need, answer whatever questions we need.
They plan on being here then.
okay,
So Dave, one thing might not have jumped out at you, but it's a $39 million.
$40 million bucks.
Yeah.
39.3.
That's a big project. If the town
Another
board
one.
chooses to parcel it out, you can do that, because I think that was one of your
Yeah,
questions.
right, right.
But there's no need to do that now for the grant.
Yeah, no, not for this portion of
Okay.
it.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I have none.
Jay?
Nope, good.
Okay.
Alex, if there is a reduction in the overall project scope after the award, what's the likelihood of something getting de-awarded?
I think they want to look at it and award the whole thing. If we try to negotiate something out based on we only receive so many dollars kind of thing, you know, they might change our ranking. I mean, they rank everything, and we get listed based on the overall project plus where we're at with our ups and downs in our systems. If we start taking stuff out of it, they would change our ranking, and I don't know what the option is after we submit to yank things out of it. We'd have to change it realistically before we submit, was my thought. Like if we said, look, we don't like the 39.3, we like a 22.4 scenario in these items, let's not chase the others. We'd have to make that decision sooner than later in an effort to still meet the deadline.
And what's the percentage of the funding and local match?
I don't know off the top of my head.
That's okay, but if you can get that information,
Yeah,
like,
see
if
what
they're
our
pointing
match
out to
is.
us, because
Yeah.
that's really the significant portion
The
of it.
EDUs,
So
all of it, right?
What we've got is, we got the PER, we're on the intended use plan.
Yep.
We're pursuing the WIA grant, that's up to $5 million in grant funds. If we get into emerging contaminants, Leeson says we can be awarded up to 70% of the net eligible project costs up to $5 million. So then, you know, we're
So it's
piecing,
$3.5 million.
it's not a 75-25, it's we're getting chunks like we did on the sewer project. Yeah, just so it mix up grants in my head. CSC is a different one later. They have their own percentages based on your population's income.
The overall town
Obligation.
contribution is, I didn't see where that was outlined in these documents of what our final project cost was gonna be and how that was gonna get covered. So if I'm missing it, just point me in the right direction, please.
No, it's, you know, she's showing possible dollar amounts of what we might get, but then doesn't give a 39.3 minus that, totals this, and here's what our piece is of it also, kind of thing.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right, we're gonna move, anything else, Jay?
Nope,
Dave?
good.
Okay, Kevin?
Nope.
All right, we're moving on to the union grievance. Nate?
Yep, I received an email from the union representative, Trey Johnson. Something unexpected, I guess, happened. He was unable to make tonight. Tonight was supposed to be the stage 3 of the grievance, which would be a hearing for the town board. Not sure if you folks would like to just have a brief executive session for me to update you on my conversations with him. That may or may not be helpful. I realize it's getting late. You've got 11 resolutions
Well,
and
let's
future topics and other things
let's see if
still.
we get through the resolutions. If we got time, we'll do the union thing. Is that okay?
Yep, it is, as long as we don't have an action.
There's no action out of it.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right, so, Alex, 7.6, if you could be quick there, the one is out of it, right? We talked,
So the pumping is already all set as a work change directive. That one met the intents there. The other valvoline I'm gonna address with them directly as discussed.
Evelyn. Yep. We good there, gentlemen?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
attorney report.
You can
Oh, department head report, we don't have any, so attorney report.
you can see the attachment that I sent, and then the only thing that I would add to that, two things which came up since Thursday. The Town of Maine Dog Control Officer Agreement. Town of Maine approved the draft without telling me that they were going to do that.
Yeah.
So they've approved it and signed it. So this is for coverage if the dog control officer is unavailable, in a nutshell. So if you folks would like to add that as a future topic to an upcoming meeting, it should be relatively straightforward, unless you just want to see the contract before scheduling a resolution on it. Because I don't, has it been circulated? I guess I don't remember if it's been circulated.
We reviewed it before it went out.
Yes.
And there weren't significant changes
There
to
was
it
no red
from
lines,
that.
really?
I have a red line. I was okay with the
Right.
changes that they made. I didn't view them as significant to the grand scheme of what we were looking at.
Okay, all right.
And then Adam mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, there's been a tax certiorari case. Basically, they're filing to reduce their assessment for Tractor Supply. I would recommend outside counsel be retained to handle that. That is outside my retainer. It would have been outside Coughlin's retainer. And I can provide some recommendations as to legal firms, if you'd like me to. I would assume you would like me to, so I can provide that.
Taxes, okay,
Yeah.
tax attorney.
Yeah, somebody to represent the town in the tax cert case. They're seeking a pretty significant reduction, I think of like 90% of the value.
Yep.
So this is the type of thing that will, unless it gets settled, will require, go into a little mini tax cert trial. I'm not sure if you guys have ever been involved in one of those as business owners, property owners, but you'll need eventually an appraisal from a appraisal firm, and then you put the appraiser on the stand and argue about it.
Yep.
Unless you guys choose to not defend it, which I would recommend against.
How soon will this all happen?
Could take, it honestly depends on sometimes the strategy. So if you want us to take an aggressive stance to getting it resolved, maybe within the year. It is
Oh.
common for these things to take several years to get resolved.
Oh. Not that maybe you needed the next month to hire a lawyer or whatever.
No, in the tax cert case, the municipality doesn't even need to submit an answer. It's like an automatic denial. But it's good to put in the notice of appearance. If we want to get these things resolved, we put the notice of appearance in and put an answer in and really hold Tractor Supply accountable to moving their case forward as well. Otherwise, they can just languish for years. I'm generally in favor of trying to move these along. So I can bring proposals from a firm or two or three. I will follow your procurement policy. So it's,
Might as well get the proposals, right?
Yeah, gotta do it, right?
Well, at least look at them.
At what stage do we have a conversation with somebody who is gonna tell us whether or not it's worth defending?
so that would, I think, be a conversation with partially with the assessor, right? You know, Catherine, what did they ask for? You know, what did you recommend, or you know, what was the conversation at the Board of Assessment? How much merit is there to this? And from there, without appraisals, it's really hard to know how far apart or how close you folks actually are. So getting that appraisal for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, when we're talking about, you know, this'll stick for at least 3 years is generally the outcome. It's like it's bound to be this assessment unless there's a town-wide reassessment. I believe it's 3 years from the date of judgment or the date of settlement. And so, and then of course it lasts until they challenge it again or there's a reassessment. The 90% reduction is a hugely significant amount of money for this one property, and you put it out over 3-5 years, which is likely, you're talking about decent money at stake for the town.
Is the responsibility for the assessment on both sides?
Everybody will need to come with an appraisal. If you don't come with an appraisal and the other person does, the other person's probably gonna win. So, you know, they will have an obligation to produce a trial-worthy appraisal. You know, there's oftentimes not oftentimes, but you'll talk with your appraiser, get an idea, perhaps before they produce the trial-ready version of their appraisal, and then see if you can get some settlement there.
So it's, I was just trying to understand if it was like a mediator situation where both parties agree to a mediator in a lawsuit, do both parties agree to an assessor? And
No.
that's what's done, or it's completely opposite sides?
Yeah,
And
but-
you addressed that, so that was why I was asking.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, at least to my knowledge, the town in my time here has not had a tax cert case filed, unless they've been, you know, not risen up to me. I'm not aware of any otherwise existing from before my time, you know, starting with the town a couple years ago. So it seems like you don't get too many of these.
Anything else?
No, did we decide to authorize them to give us the proposal?
Well, I asked the question to get quotes for tax assessor.
Okay.
You guys good with that?
I am.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. That it, Nate?
Attorney,
Not-
tax
not-
attorney.
Tax attorney.
Tax
The
attorney.
assessment attorney.
I said it wrong.
Yep,
Tax
okay.
attorney.
Oh, that does actually, it's not really, it's just reminding me of the conversation we had right before the meeting. The assessor needs to be, you need to choose an assessor as of
Right.
the end of September.
End of September, there
If you're
is
gonna-
a state thing.
You're gonna reappoint Catherine or look for
Something
somebody
else. So that's gonna be coming up. We gotta make a decision sometime, a future topic.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Anything else, Nate?
Nope.
All right, supervisor's report, I have nothing, but I'll be more than glad to, if the board's got any questions for me, do's or don'ts, any advice for me? I just, I don't have a report. I'd like to move on unless you have something for me.
No, there was
Move
no
on.
attachment for a
Yeah,
supervisor
I know, I
report,
just
so I wasn't
giving you the
expecting one.
chance. All right, we're gonna move on to resolutions. Mr. Nate,
Resolution 9.1, approving abstract number 15.
so moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
None.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Aye.
Resolution 9.2, authorizing purchase of 5 time clocks.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
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 Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Aye.
Resolution 9.3, approving a no objection letter for the Shenango Commons.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
None.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Aye.
Resolution 9.4, authorizing contract for services with Keystone.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
None.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Abstain.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
9.5, resolution authorizing issuance of RFQ for building code services.
So moved.
Second.
Ooh, you got it.
Discussion.
None.
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 Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Nay.
Resolution 9.6, approving renewal of town insurance policies with Smith Brothers.
So moved. Did you do it?
Who got the who did the vote?
We tied second.
Oh, you said it?
That's okay, that's
Oh,
okay.
You can have it, I'll second
I'll
it.
second it, I'll second it.
Discussion.
Didn't even hear you.
I didn't either.
I have none.
I have none.
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 Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Resolution 9.7, approving budget modifications.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
I have none.
None.
Mr. Clerk?
Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Resolution, I will note in the document itself, it's actually titled as an order, calling for the public hearing to be held on August 6th, 2025 regarding the increase and improvement of the facilities for Consolidated Water District Number 1.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
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 Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Resolution 9.9, creating reserve fund for capital improvements relating to the water district.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
None.
None.
Mr. Warden?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
9.10, authorizing application for consolidated funding grant.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have none.
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 Mr.
Mr.
Warden?
Clerk?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Aye.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Hulbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumsden?
Aye.
Resolution 9.11, approving climate smart community pledge.
So moved.
Second. Discussion.
I have none.
When did this come up before?
This was part of
Last
the
meeting, correct?
presentation discussion from Alex relating to the application for the grants.
For the grants.
It provides points
Helps
for it.
out with grants.
So that's what this is about, right?
The one you did
This is strictly about making a pledge
Correct.
To get more
to
points
have
on
a
the grant
favorable-
application.
Correct. The first piece that we had to have is the resolution. That was a 9.1.
9.10.
Or sorry, 9.10. That sets, we picked a dollar amount among us and set that up for the 50-50 grant. That one, just so you know, it is a 50-50 grant on this, if you get it. The reason for 50 and not an 80-20 is because you guys are just too high income in the town as a whole. This resolution, briefly from Ashley from Southern Tier 8, she wanted to be here. She administers a lot of assistance through Southern Tier 8 to municipalities that do this. She gave me a letter. She heard her back, so she's not moving today. She said that Broome County, the City of Binghamton, and Village of Wego are nearby certified bronze communities. Nearby registered CSC communities include Town of Fenton, Village of Johnson City, and Town of Deposit. So you're not the only one doing it. Big bullet point, as a reminder, passing the pledge does not commit the town to anything. This is a completely voluntary program, and you're not bound or required to do anything different by passing the pledge. Because you put the pledge in, says we're intending to do this, helps you get some points on the grant program. If you say you're not intending at all, they downgrade you. And then if you do stick with it, she works with you and helps you get through it's a program. They have free technical assistance, helps you get into competitive grants, not just the comp plan. Later on, if there's other stuff and you're part of this, you might be able to get other grant funds. So we'll get through this step. She said you can trash it later if you want, or stay with it. If we stay with it, there's a bunch of work to be done and a team that needs to be set up. So that's a whole different thing to deal with later.
Relating to the pledge itself, I mean, I'll say, I'm not sure it necessarily means you don't do nothing. You know, when you're updating the comprehensive plan is supposed to be about your community goals. The Climate Smart Communities Pledge is a goal, and it would be, I think, properly incorporated into the comprehensive plan to, you know, how are you gonna fulfill your pledge through, you know, what is the vision of fulfilling the pledge in your comprehensive plan? So it's not just to me, it's not just a adopt it and throw it away. Like, if you're gonna make a pledge like
Correct.
this is part of your plan for the community.
Yeah, if you're awarded, you definitely have to stick with it for that award time period that you're obligated by, but
Right.
Okay. Thank you for, because I was gonna
Yep.
ask a question about, you know, really, what are the consequences if you don't, and,
lose our grant.
okay. Well, that, okay.
So we're hoping to get 90 grand out of the thing.
Any more discussion?
No, just there's some typo kind of issues on the resolution.
Oh, the numbers?
Yeah, just not sure what's going on with that, but doesn't really,
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that also. The draft I sent didn't have that, so I assume it's like an uploading thing.
Yeah, it gave double vision once it made it to the website.
maybe we can just,
Adam, your version of it, probably not on the website, but
I should be able to fix that, yeah.
okay.
Any more discussion?
I have none.
None?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Ward?
Aye.
Mr. Simonis?
Nay.
Mr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Holbert?
Aye.
Mr. Lumpkin?
Aye.
that's all the resolutions.
All right, future board topics. I have the dog control for the union. We have the highway grievance.
Yep.
The tractor supply. You're gonna get us some quotes for the taxes.
Yep.
Tax attorney.
Yep.
And future topics, fobs and keys. What do you wanna do next month?
Well, we gotta put the union discussion back on there?
Yes, I said highway union,
Okay.
yep, sorry, Cal.
But that's gonna go on the 8-6?
8-6, yeah, we gotta get it in there, right, Nate? Yeah, so we definitely have to do that.
Whether or not we have time for executive session tonight or not?
Yeah, this is a conversation we can have immediately before we talk with the union. It's not gonna be long. I just wanna give you like the heads up as to what is happening.
Okay.
So future, for the next meeting, we're gonna do the highway grievance. You wanna do the fobs and keys?
If you're ready for it,
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you what I want.
that's fine.
Yep. Dog control for the
Yep.
Municipal agreement. Tax attorney, Nate, you're gonna get this stuff for us for that?
That's the plan. I'll see if they actually get me
Yeah.
quotes or proposals.
So that may get scratched. And then I'd like to have the conversation about the tax assessor appointment.
Yep.
Anything else? Anyone else got anything?
Nate and I are gonna give you the comp plan review of ours, the comp plan qualifications package review, and then you asked for the building needs contract if we can get it in time from the company.
Do you think you can?
I'm gonna request it
Try.
tomorrow
Okay.
and see if they can have it by Wednesday, but that doesn't give Nate a little time to review it by then, but
I get the feeling they'll be able to turn that contract around pretty quick.
they gave a version of it already, so I'll probably, every question I asked her, she responded within 5 minutes.
So we're into August, so do we start stuff with the budget? Do we start
Well, we're gonna
communicating?
she's got the deadline, Miss Lori's got the deadline for all the department heads to get their stuff, I believe, the last Friday. So this Friday.
August 1st.
This August 1st.
Yeah, I printed mine out
So
today.
then me and her are gonna sit down and go through it, so it's gonna be towards the end of the month. I don't know.
So Mike,
Did we do all the fire departments?
Mike, could you Could you disseminate to the town board the milestone dates of the budget process?
Okay.
And I think it would be helpful, because I remember last year, the discussion, you folks didn't, I think you felt you didn't have enough time.
So that's why I
And-
brought it up. I
Okay.
And
figured
I-
we were behind the 8 ball.
I think having a discussion, sorry, having a discussion to talk about what your dates are and whether you need some special meetings sprinkled in, and like what you want the process.
So I'll get that together, we'll have a quick conversation about it
Yeah.
next meeting.
And you wanna do the update on the, audio? Yep.
Chuchi. Yeah, I'm gonna have she's gone. I'm gonna have a conversation, see if he's available. I don't know what he's gonna tell me when we talk to him.
That's fine, just bring it back to us.
Yep. David, Jay, you got anything in your minds?
I don't know if we're going to see him or not, but as I recall, the fire department wanted to see us sometime in July to talk to us, but I don't know
They put
What
it
if we
on.
need-
He kept
They
putting
put
that
it off.
if, they put it on?
Yeah.
Okay.
They put it off,
Okay,
because they didn't have an audit or accountant or something, they pulled it.
okay. Are we going to have to make some major decisions about if we keep the same relationship with Camden or not, or bring in somebody new?
Well, that's a good point. We should have that conversation with
'Cause it-
what we're gonna do with Camden or the sewer plant.
Because we had an email about a new outfit that
Yeah.
begins with a V or a
And
Z
I-
or something?
I talked to Greg about that. What they are, the way Greg explained it to me was, they're kinda like consultants, they really don't do it. They'll
Okay.
just try to find you someone. He's talked to them before in the past.
They're headhunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the, are we gonna have another discussion on that? Remember, we did the numbers, we felt the numbers were not correct.
Right, and
So is,
So you wanna,
I
well, I
believe,
think Greg's gotta come back with.
yeah,
No,
Right,
and
Yeah.
right.
you wanna put them on for,
So,
The six-
I had a conversation with Greg when I was here last week. He came to me with his spreadsheet. I talked with him about some recommendations I had as to how he should present it. And he and I are supposed to be talking again about, after he gets it updated, so I can like look at it and be like, hey, what about this, that, the other thing? So I'm not sure he's ready to come back to present to you guys with this discussion yet.
Okay.
well, it's on him then.
Right.
I know he's hit some water breaks, so maybe he hasn't got it, I don't know.
Okay. And what about
you-
his laborers? How long is he average, do we need to put him on an agenda for his
Well, I
hiring?
think he'll be here. You wanna put him on the agenda?
No, I'm just
for-
asking, do we know when that time frame was that we were advertising for?
No,
Okay.
I don't. He'll be here at the next meeting. He'll probably give that in his report. What are you thinking, Kevin?
No, that's all,
Oh.
I was just asking, to make sure
I-
that he was on the agenda, cause I know.
Well, let's put him
Right.
on there. But he'll be on there for his report anyway.
That's fine.
Is that good?
Yeah.
And if he's got any documents, he'll give them to Jody and they'll be on there. If they're not, we're not gonna talk about it. Anything else?
What do you guys wanna do with the board software stuff?
Well, I didn't hear you. The board what?
What do you wanna do with the board software demonstration, information, questions? You wanna have a session to go through that? The town board software, the diligent software. I disseminated that information and just waiting to get some feedback on what you want to go through. Or do you wanna go through it yourselves and then we get together? I don't know.
I need help
I
with it.
just know that there's really, we're only using like 30%.
yeah.
I gotta go back and look.
I know, I'll take all the help
I
I can
can't
get.
remember what
What's he
you,
talking about?
Yeah.
I remember looking at it when you first sent it out, but I
Yeah.
definitely go back through it again.
Okay. So maybe we could just have a conversation, a short conversation at the next meeting
Yeah,
about.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that to refresh that.
Okay.
And resend it out to us?
I have, yeah, I will.
So it's on the, or give it to Jody so we can all see it? All right. Mr. Clerk, you got that? Okay.
You got it.
We had been talking about the information that I'm gonna need from you and from, the bookkeeper on our RFPs for vendors.
The RFP for vendors?
The RFP for vendors that exceed our procurement thresholds, our annual procurement thresholds, and for the professional services.
Okay.
That we don't have a lot of time left in the year to start putting those together. But the last list that, that you sent out had about a dozen vendors
Yeah.
that exceeded
Yep,
that
yep.
threshold.
Yep.
And then we had
I don't know that,
discussions.
she gave us that report. She printed that out. I'll check with her tomorrow to see if there's any more.
Yep, but,
Yep.
but we
You
should,
want to load it on for the agenda?
well, we should, yeah, because we should be going, because if we've got an annual agreement that exceeds our threshold, we need to get RFPs for those services. And then we never formalized by resolution. We've discussed about the professional services for the 5-year period, annual agreements with 4 renewals for the professional services, but we talked about doing those this fall as well.
The attorney, is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? And engineering?
Yes.
Is there any other on top of your mind?
We have attorneys for the bond counsel. We have the professional services for the attorney for the ethics board. We have we have to have a discussion, about with the attorney on whether it's a separate one for the ZBA.
Yep.
We have the financial professional services for the firm that is assisting, I'm drawing a blank on the
Municipal
name.
Solutions,
Municipal?
Solutions, is that the financial one?
Oh,
No, that's another one.
Oh,
I'm talking about the
Delafield.
bookkeeper, the accountant that you're working with.
Oh,
Insero.
Dwayne, yeah.
Dwayne.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
you, yeah. So there's at least a half a dozen professional services ones.
I'm
Yep.
gonna,
But I'm not sure
Okay.
we would need
I'll
to do
get her-
all of them.
No, well, I'll get her, put it together. What?
Nate, put together 7 RFPs for professional services. Got it.
You've
Schedule the
already,
interviews.
you've done,
You've done some of
I,
them.
I don't remember which ones I've done. I mean, but I'm just thinking attorney and engineering. Those ones I think haven't been done in a while. Did we do one for, we already did
2013.
one for.
well, we haven't
CBA
done
as well.
we haven't done, you did the RFP for the attorney.
Okay, I don't remember doing that.
A couple months ago. It was
Okay.
recent.
For Chris.
Oh, oof, there we go.
So there's, but no, I mean specifically for the agreement.
If I did it, I don't. Remember
That's-
doing that.
But I can recirculate that, but we haven't done the engineering one since 2012, something like that. So, anyway. So those are the ones that, at least off the top of my head.
But that's not all gonna get ready for the next meeting.
No,
Is that
the
what you're
list.
asking?
The list of what we
needs-
got.
The
Yeah.
list needs to get, because,
I'll get it out to you.
all right.
I didn't know if you were trying to put that on the agenda. I'll have Lori get it out, and we'll send it to
The
you.
list on the
No,
agenda.
my ask is for the list, so that we can
On the
discuss it.
agenda, okay.
If for some reason, the reason that the list is, and the annual amount that has been budgeted or spent, because if we've got an accounting firm that is $4,000, that doesn't seem to me to be a priority to do an RFP for a 5-year professional service term. That's all.
Okay. Anything else, David?
No.
Do you still need your attorney-client?
No, we
We
can do
did
that
it?
before
We're good?
the, yeah.
All right.
Next meeting.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I have nothing.
All right. We're gonna, public, anyone like to speak? You got, Ms. Joy? Okay, make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Or would you like to stay?
No, I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Party is over.
Yeah, no, that should be.
You got burned, that miniature sheet got too big.
So I should have dropped my contract by $2,000 and I would have been under the threshold this